Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've been advised through my reliable sources on my far left, through the director in the office, that we do have a quorum.
Yes.
And we are already an hour and 5 minutes late. I don't think, as the professional body of convocants, it's the type of behavior we want to continue with, where we delay our meeting even if we meet a quorum more than an hour. So please allow me to start with our AGM. As I've said, if I can get it on record that we are coordinating, then I will then proceed.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The quorum for a DUT AGM is 31, and just when I checked 5 minutes ago, we're already sitting on 52. So I think, we definitely make quorum, and we are able to start. And I think most of the members are now coming in as well. But yes, we can confirm that we've made quorum. Thanks.
Thanks, Lou. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, once again. As per our agenda, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone for making time this afternoon to listen to your elected representatives take account of what they were elected to do. We host these types of engagement as proof that we, as convocation, we don't operate in a vacuum. It's not that we are just a group of people that are there and who do not have anybody where they need to account to. So it is on the basis of us, as stipulated in the Constitution, that we need to have this annual general meeting where we can take stock of the year it has been. So it is the sole purpose of this AGM. Should that not be the case, I would have been happy to tell the office, now let's delay for another 2 years. We'll have the AGM or whatever they might call it, because it can no longer be an AGM if it's not been held at any given time. So I would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone on behalf of Convex, as well as all the alumni that are present. Perhaps at this stage, it is important to highlight that as we move with technology, for the first time, our annual general meeting is being streamed live on all the social networks. So we are welcoming those ones who are joining us online wherever they are to view the proceedings of our annual general meeting. I've done it deliberately by not having house rules. I thought those ones would take care of itself ordinarily. But if people do need to be reminded, as I've just indicated, that we are streaming live, so those ringtones of phones coming through do affect the audio capacity of our live streaming. And perhaps then shows as to the behavioral patterns of alumni to those who might be just viewing us at this point in time, to say, how do we observe those meeting etiquette? As I said, we are streaming live, and it's an opportunity that we are welcoming to be able to interact with the wider. You know, I was privileged enough this year to attend a number of graduation ceremonies, both the spring and the autumn session. And when you get to hear about the number of graduates, the throughput of graduates each year, indirectly thinking, oh, this is my membership. If you are talking around between 6,000 to 8,000 graduates each year, and looking at convocation and in terms of our founding statement as to who else we represent, going back to the former institutions of Technical Natal, ML Sultan, and DIT, and the likes. It's hundreds of thousands of our members. So it is, and they are all over the world. So it is of great importance, of critical importance, that we try and expand our scope and let them see what is it that we are engaging in or deliberating on. There's, as I said, I'm standing representing the convex that was elected at our elective AGM in 2018. And that AGM, or those people that were elected, there's been a number of changes. One of them, there was an internal, or a convex member was elected, but was an internal staff member who happened to pass away before we have our own first meeting. They will remember Dr. Taylor. So as a person who was elected in the same forum, I think it would be fitting that I request that we have a moment of silence as a convex member who has since departed. Can I request that we just bow our head and observe a moment of silence for Dr. Taylor? Those with heads on, I appreciate if they can take them off, especially the gents. Having addressed one member, I know on the report I did cover some of the members that we have since co-opted. Perhaps without introducing all convex members that you have elected, but I think it is befitting at this stage to welcome those convex members that we have co-opted over or during the course of the year. There were 3 members that we have co-opted into convex. 2 of them being internal members. Dr. Wan, convex member representing internal staff, as well as Ms. Nopolo Memela, who's representing internal staff. I've not seen Dr. Wan, but I would request those that I will mention just to shy at us. As well as Ms. Angel Shabang, who's an external member. It was part of the mandate fellow conference that we need to address the issue of gender as we're looking at the context, and we have not stopped. We will continue to make sure that we try to be as representative as possible. We also own this AGM again, just to reflect on the mandate that we got last year, on the issues that were cited during the President's report. So it's more like a feedback session that you need to report as to what is it that we have done. And perhaps indicate some of the 2 things that we wanted to achieve as a convex. I know there were 2 priorities that we've set ourselves up to make sure that we push the idea of fundraising as much as possible, which is the core function of convocation, or the role for the main purpose for existence of convocation or alumni relation in any institution. So it was one of the main issues that we had set to achieve, which was the issue of fundraising, and obviously, as I've said, to touch base on the issues that were highlighted by the former president of convocation, the issue of the constitutional amendments. Those are some of the things that we'll seek to address in this gathering, and obviously highlight the challenges and the interests or interesting challenges that have been in the university in the year in hand. Those were just part of my welcoming address, fellow convex, and I was not giving a report yet, just highlighting what it is that we seek to achieve at this meeting. Going through to our agenda, we'll go to item number 3, the notice to convene this meeting. I would like to invite the office to indicate whether are we sitting here formally so, and did we follow all the precedent as prescribed within the Constitution as to how we're supposed to convene such a gathering. I would invite Mr. Mbubane to address us in the item number 3.
Oh, thank you very much, Chair. With regards to the notice convening the meeting, we'd just like to confirm that indeed we complied with the Constitution with the first notice appearing 4 weeks prior to the AGM in a national newspaper. The first notice appeared in the Star, which is the national newspaper, on the 2nd of November 2019. And this complied with the 4-week notice period as per the constitutional requirement. And then subsequent notices thereafter, on the 6th of November, the notice appeared in the Mercury. On the 13th of November, it also appeared in Isolezwe. And then, of course, we used our other platforms and channels to communicate the notice. That was through our DevMan, which is the database system where we record all our alumni details, and so we use that. That went out on the 5th of November, as well as a reminder going out on the 14th of November. And then, of course, we've also been posting the notice of the AGM at various intervals on the various social media platforms that we have. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thanks, Mr. Mbane, for that information. I'm not sure whether I thought that was a ringtone, Mr. Mbane. Yesterday, when we had our conference meeting, just at a particular time, then there was some booming sound that was coming from the next door room. We thought it was an indication that we have exhausted our time. Colleagues, I did request that let's observe the meeting etiquette, especially when it comes to our phones. I don't have to say the phone must be off, but if they can please be on silent. As I said, we are streaming live. Whatever as your phone rings, and then on the noise, it does affect the audio and the visual that goes out to those that are joining us on via the live streaming. Looking at our agenda, we'll go to item number 3.1, just for purposes, just to check if there are any apologies that have been received and are to be recorded as such.
Yes, thank you, Chair. We have received apologies. These would have been communicated mostly via email to the administrative office. But for the purposes of recording here, we have received apologies from David Sedumedi, Sizwe Shezi, Pumelela Vezi, and Tubaletu Paku. Those are the ones that we have record of. But of course, it's possible that there may have been other email, let me just say, apologies that would have been submitted, which we will note, though, also on our record in terms of the minutes. Thank you.
Is there any approach I can note from the floor for those men that have RSVP that since wanted to send an apology to the recorded official? It's not thanks. So we'll then move to item number 3.2, which is the minutes, confirmation of minutes of the last annual general meeting held on the 24th of November 2018. We have the page, and as Mr. Mbane had highlighted when he was on item number 3 about the notice of the meeting. These minutes and all other related documents were published together with the notice on the website as well as on all other platforms that were supposed to be published on. So I will not dwell much on it, except just take page by page if some of the feedback people have. That's why we have 1 month notice to each to give enough time for people to go through the documents attached so that we do not delay the meeting for that. So I'm on item 3.2 and document that was published as well as it's in your pack. I think in each seat there are minutes. On page number 1, are there any issues that you might want to bring to their attention? On page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5.
There are 2 parts in there. There are 2 parts. Allow us to.
I asked if we want to fill, please raise your hand if you're outside, and we are confirming the minutes, and I could see there's a hand. I'll ask the colleagues to assist with the roll of their mind. As I said, I'm not reading the minutes now. I'm just going through page numbers. So I've noted the head. If you can please just introduce yourself and then raise. Then you'll indicate which page are you throwing my attention to.
Thanks. No, sure. Can you please assist us? Because I think the universities give us much time to deal with these issues. So I concur with this comrade who is saying that, can you please be patient with us? As much as you have given us a month to read these things, but we have many questions. So for you to jump to page 1 to page 5 and page 6 is unbecoming. So can you please, we request from you to start afresh and go with the sequence of where we are and what is it that we want to be clarified, for you to then move to the next point. Because really, we are going to be in a quagmire whereby we are going to stop you while addressing and answer and request you to answer questions that we have passed on. So I request that can you please just be patient with us. Perhaps maybe we must be able to say that some of the people who are here, they are new from this family of convocation. So perhaps the culture that we have been using will not be able to accommodate others. Maybe it was the previous culture, so perhaps maybe change and transformation would be needed.
Okay, that's noted. I'm not sure which one I've been fast on or which one I've skipped, but as I've said, in terms of the agenda, we're on item 3.2, and we are confirming the minutes of the annual general meeting that took place on the 24th of November 2018. And I did indicate that the document has been made available on your page and was made available for ease of reference or for preparation of the sitting, issued together with the notice as the office has indicated. Then say we are confirming the minutes of the annual general meeting, and the order of confirmation is to confirm by using the page numbers as they reflect on the bottom left of the page. I was on page 1 of the minutes. Say if there are any issues, I will then request that you bring it to my attention as I go through the pages. What I would not allow, though, is for that we go through and read what is on each page, unless if the intention is to be until tomorrow morning, that we cannot. So all I'm asking is the confirmation of the minutes. I'm on page 1 of the minutes. So I'm asking if there is anyone have any issue with page 1. I'm then moving to page 2, as I said, because we are not reading the minutes, we are confirming. I'm on page 2 of the minutes. I'm on page 3 now of the minutes. Page 4 of the minutes. I'm on page 5 of the minutes. I'm on page 6 of the minutes, which is the last page, page 6. And then no one I think, okay, there is a hand. Can I assist with the mic?
That's just want to raise one on page 4 of the minutes.
Yes.
Choose an A. The last sentence on the A is sentencing one of the reasons.
Which A, the first or second A?
The first one.
All right.
I think that the last sentence.
On the A, on the answer, right?
Answer is one of the reasons that DUT could not allocate funds. So now it's fine. I'm reading. toward infrastructure development was the high salary bill. So I think what is being said there is not right. Maybe it has to be revisited, written properly.
But can you assist us in your recollection what it is? Because I would also share what, if you were part of that meeting.
No, but yeah, I think when I first read the sentence, I also added note. I thought note is missing here because we can't say could is the reason. No.
Okay, so you want to insert the word not.
No.
Okay.
I suppose it's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Then I understand. There are two hands. I'm not sure that they are on the same matter. There are three hands. Are you addressing the same point? Or is it on it? Okay, can we exhaust this one on page 4 that has been made? The correction is that the sentence needs to read one of the reasons that DUT could not allocate. So between could and allocate, there is a proposal that it needs to insert not. And it does make sense with that correction. Can I get one confirming that that's a correct correction? Thank you. I've noticed other three hands. I will take it in that order. There was one there. I will take you, my sister, and then my colleague in front. Please just draw my attention to which page are we addressing now.
President, mine is going to be much different to what you are looking for or what information you are seeking for. My concern is being part of the last AGM meeting that we had. There are critical issues that I don't find in our minutes. And I went through the minutes in the emails, and there are issues that are critical, of which I think the convocation has a responsibility to secure those issues to ensure that we do justice to our graduates of the university. Now, I understand that the minutes are the summary of the discussions in the meetings. But now there are issues which are very critical, issues like how do we ensure as the convocant that university absorb the former students? And that question was asked from the floor in that particular meeting. But I don't see those issues here in the minutes. I've been trying to find issues. I thought maybe I had some technical challenges in the system, but now since I have the hard copy here, I went through the same minutes and I don't find those issues. And seemingly based on what you have said when we were opening in the meeting, you said the primary role of the convocation or the convex is to fundraise. And that's also raised a concern to me because in our last meeting we said the convocation or the convex have a responsibility to ensure that the former students of the university are prioritized in a number of issues. Let it be the employment, awarding of contracts. So those are the issues which I think they are primary for the convocation or the convex to look into. So I don't know, maybe those issues are covered here somewhere. Maybe I did not find them here, but I've been struggling to find those issues in terms of the graduates of the university. Thank you, President.
Thanks, President. I noted on page 4 that the AGM as a practice does not provide financial statements at the AGM. And as e-convocation, the role of e-convocation is to raise funds. We'd like to get access to it after, because I do gather that it is available, so we'd like for it to be availed to us.
Maybe let me just have a follow-up on that to make sure I understand. By financial statements of convocation, are you referring to the budget of the office?
No. of the institution.
Yes, I mean the Convocation Alumni Relations Office.
Yes.
Is that the budget you're asking for?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Yes. Can you please, as I requested the fellow alumni, can you please respect each other, especially if there's someone who's on the floor? Can you give him an ear, please?
No, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to confirm the minutes, but over and above, probably in terms of the present, I would just recommend that it must appear as per the attendance register. I don't list the few and then say and 66 others. So, because people that must confirm the minutes are those that have attended the last annual general meeting. So we are unable to then confirm if we fall under the others, because it just is a few and we do not appear. So it just that one additional thing that I think it needs to be done.
So what were you suggesting?
The present as per the attendance register. So that the attachment will be the attendance register.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, there's another. Let me just take the last point, and then we'll try and address all the questions.
Chair, it is not my intention to speak a lot today because my president, Tamishes, is here today. He's going to represent me well. Hopefully you're not going to be answering any questions because I'm rising on a procedural point. At this point, we are correcting the record, whether it is correct or not. The other issues, I think, if they arise, they will be arising. But the point I want to support is my comrade on the right. If he feels that there are issues which are not reflected on the record, which were raised, then I think the correct way is for us to raise them that were raised in the previous meeting. But the other points are discussion points. So for now, let's confirm the record so that our meeting is procedural. If this is the true and correct record, if you feel that there are things which are missing, we'll obviously raise them. And then others will discuss them as point of discussion in a correct agenda item. Thanks.
Thank you. You see now, the last speaker is disturbing my thinking load because I was already preparing to answer these questions. Okay, but having said that, I think the point that you've raised in terms of the item that you are on the agenda, which is to deal with the matters arising, my understanding is that as and when we go through them, then if you feel there is something that was discussed that was not there, you need to raise, and if the House confirmed that yes, that was the true reflection, and perhaps it indicate was it that under the President's report or was that under the address by the VC, those are the issues that need to be highlighted. And again, as I said, with the intention, all matters that are arising, they become the activity of convex to engage on during the course of the year and make sure that those issues are attended to. And I've tried to highlight most of those issues under the President's report, which is also available. So perhaps at that stage, I would then expect that alumni will then raise to say, but this is the issue that we felt that it was raised, that it is not cited. But it still doesn't stop you from saying if this matter was addressed and it's not on the agenda, we are more than welcome to raise that issue. And let's see how. I'm trying to go through the recollection myself as based on the issues that you've raised, and I don't seem to remember some of them. But can I then request that we deal with those issues under the matters arising which are covered under the President's report? Thank you. With regards to the financial statements, with due respect, as I've asked, whatever funds alumni or convex as the executive committee of convocation doesn't have a budget, not even a single cent. It's the alumni relations office that has a budget allocated by the university, which gets audited by internal and external auditors at the end of the financial year of the university. That's how they account. Alumni or convex doesn't even have a bank account. Anything else that comes in, the donation that I give monthly goes to the university. The manager doesn't even have access. I'm just trying to share that part. Hence, we even said we can't be saying we want to submit audited financial statement because we don't have anything. It is done by the university. Even if your allocation is done through financial aid policy of the university and whatever balancing of debit and credit side of the student, that's how it happens. So we do not have it. I think the one that was addressed, I think it is noted by Mr. Shang to say, under present as per the register. I think we can learn from that and make sure that it's taken. Okay, I think I'm addressed. Can I then ask? Or there is a hand. I thought I was closing, and I would allow. I would.
No, President. No, President. It was just as a way of formality to confirm or move so that we conclude on that item. And all other issues that might be, they will then be catered in your address as a way of discussion. So I think that just as to close the matter, I wanted to, so that for record purposes. Thanks.
Thanks. So who's moving for the confirmation for record purposes?
I do.
I mean for recording purposes.
Seconded.
Mr. Guanyan, and it's seconded by Mr. Shah. Okay. Thank you. Can we then move to the next item on the agenda? 3.4, update on the DUT matters. I'm going to request again, colleagues, my ear is very sensitive to that. I've indicated, even for those that might have joined us late, that we are streaming this AGM live on social media. So the phones, I would just humbly request that we put them on silent so that they don't affect the audio and whatever the output that is being, the feed that is going out to those who are joining us online. With regards to item number 4, update on the DUT matters. As Mr. Ngubane had highlighted that when we send the invitation or publish the notice of the AGM, it was with the intention that we will get an update. We normally get those updates from the Vice Chancellor himself. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us this evening on the basis that there is currently the council meeting that was taking place, and the whole intention was to cover the point on the Vision 2020 to 2030 of the university, or the strategic vision of the university. And it would have been, when we engaged with him during the course of the week, that he would have loved to address us on something that was already approved by the council, not just a discussion document. We have then agreed that since the council was sitting, that we would have to convene, not a convex meeting, not an AGM. The office will see how they're going to call it as early as possible next year, around February, where either, and I'm aware that the Vice Chancellor has been having some, what you call it, town hall talks or something of that sort, that he will need to convene one solely for the alumni, where he will be addressing us about the vision of the university and what is it that they are putting up as a 10-year plan going forward, and what is the role of alumni in that regard. So I would like to apologize on behalf of the VC with regards to that, but noting that there will be a session that will be convened solely for that, and hopefully we'll have a maximum participation from alumni to listen or to engage with the Vice Chancellor on all issues relating to our beloved university. On that note, I would like us to move to item number 5, the report from the President of Convocation, inclusive of the matters arising. The report is also attached on your page. When I was preparing the report, in consultation with the presidency office, the vice president did humble request that can I please don't come up with a 5-hour report. And so I'll try to be aware of the time when it comes to the report. Fellow alumni says that the principal said to us appraise members on the activities and the events that the convocation executive and as well as the alumni advancement in alumni relations engaged on in 2019 since the last AGM. We'll try and look at various areas. It comes to the issue of the governance and the administration. The convex did manage to convene 4 fully correlated meetings during the course of the year. The last one was yesterday afternoon. One of the first meetings of the year was on 16th of March. And that's where the Vice President of Convocation was elected, Ms. Bondeaka. Subsequent to meeting were held on the 8th of June, 7th of September, and 29th of November, as I indicated. All meetings ordinarily held on a Saturday, except for the one for yesterday, which was held on a Friday. Convex consists of individuals who represent a wide range of expertise and knowledge in support of the DUT and its initiatives. And in this case, as I've highlighted, that one of the main areas that we seek to focus on was to address the issue of fundraising. I'm equally encouraged by the imaging of young leaders within our alumni ranks, as it is observant within the house. You see that we are attracting the younger generation of alumni, which still doesn't mean that we must take away the fact of those who even come from our historical institutions, as I've indicated earlier on. With the energy and enthusiasm, which must be channeled according to avoid any misdirection with regards to the role of alumni in its alma mater, in as far as to give back to the university in a form of time, advice, and financial support that is necessary. We also had a strategic planning session where we to try and identify which areas we'd like to focus on or what are the things that we want to achieve. We're cognizant of the fact that we might be saying we're talking 2019, but we only have 4 meetings that we're going to meet on. And when we had the strategic planning was already one of those meetings, so we had to be very observant of, we don't come up with a pipeline list of issues that we know that sometimes we might not be able to achieve. At that strategic planning session, which was held on the 16th of March, prior to the convex meeting, we did invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mtem, who was accompanied by Ms. Nikki Mola, Director of Institutional Planning, and they made a presentation on the DUT, the plan, DUT Strategic Plan 2020-2030, which hence I was saying we had felt that this, if the VC was to address us again now, it would have been on the strategy that has already been approved by Council, not still based on the plan that he had presented to us. And it is always better to present to the wider group so that we can all internalize what is it the direction that the university wants to take. As I've indicated, I've just inserted this, but the alumni office will be planning a session early in 2020 at which the Vice Chancellor can address a wider audience of alumni to put them up to speed with the strategic vision of the university. So we are looking forward to that session that we can help and engage with the VC and see what is it that they've put in place for the university and how can, as alumni, can play a role. In terms of the representation on governance structures, the members elected to the committees of the institution plays a pivotal role in providing guidance, counsel towards the university growth and sustainability and transformation. Convocation has 3 representatives on council, which is Mr. Shezi, Mr. Shangen, and myself. Mr. Shezi had replaced Mr. Martinani for his remaining term of office. Remember, Martinani was then elected on council as the council nominee. He then had to vacate his seat on behalf of convocation, and Mr. Shezi was elected to serve the remainder of his term, which was for a period of 1 year, of course, which is ending at the end of this meeting, or during the course of this meeting. As the president, I was also mandated to engage with the student leadership of the university with a view of our guidance and continuous engagement and counseling when needs be. I also served on the DUT statutes task team, which is looking at amending the DUT statutes, and I also serve on the student services board. My term and that of Mr. Shezi come to an end at this AGM on cancer. Equally so, Mr. Shezi and Mr. Ngidi were representing Convocation on Institutional Forum. The role of IF is of that one to offer advice on all transformational issues to cancer. And following the Mr. Shezi's election to cancel at the AGM, he subsequently resigned as a member of IF, paving way for another member to represent Convocation in the structure. Mr. Mkulisa was elected to represent Convocation on the IF for the remainder of Mr. Shezi's term, which was assigned to this AGM as well. Hence, the election will be held for 2 Convocation representatives on council and 2 Convocation representatives on the institutional forum. At this stage, I would like to emphasize the importance of attending to such meetings by all the nominated and elected representatives of Convocation. Because at this stage, we always want, as and when convex meet, request that we give them feedback on what is that transpires in this meeting. And at some stage, it does affect the functioning of convex if there is poor attendance to this meeting, because it subsequently results in not getting proper feedback as to what is it that is happening on those functions. The constitutional matters, there was a committee that was set up to review the constitution of the Convocation as it was tabled by the former president of Convocation as part of those matters arising at the last AGM that we need to really look into that. And that committee was not just comprised of convex members, we also look at other Convocation members with expertise who can assist us in coming up with proposed amendments. The committee met on the 2nd of August and they worked on the proposals or proposed amendments, of which they will then be serving for discussion and for the consideration at the AGM. 2019 activities and initiatives. There was a donor recognition event that was held at the university early this year. The aim was to recognize and appreciate the work done by our donors who donate to the university, and then knowing very well that those donations will bring about a change to the lives of our needy students who are facing financial difficulties. And the event was well attended, and it was more of refreshing, engaging with those donors and then the passion they have for the university and the time they're willing to put up. In terms of trying to touch base, as I've mentioned earlier on my welcoming address, as we are streaming live, there could be those who might have graduated in the university, ML Sultan Technical or Technical Natal or Durban Institute of Technology or DUT, would love to keep in touch with this alumni, and as such, there is the DUT Connect online alumni platform that we seek to participate in. The Graduate is an alumni system which works as a branded platform for institutions to digitally engage with their alumni. There is quite a number of countries that are currently using it, and the office is managing that. In helping us to keep in touch or to network with our alumni. So for DUT, this platform is called DUT Connect, and it's a platform for DUT graduates. As I said, it's just a network for all the alumni by alumni. Yes. At this stage, I'd like to request that we register on the site, which the link is indicated on the report, and it will help us to engage and perhaps even go further than just engaging and address other issues of which some of the colleagues have already mentioned here about creating opportunities for those who are still, say, the unfortunate alumni who might have not either have employment opportunities. That it is a network that we are trying to also see how we can best address those issues. So I would humbly request that we participate and we share this link to those who might not be here to see how they can participate and how one can be able to assist. The DUT Connect network was launched in May in 2019. This was just a soft launch. It was aimed at internal staff and mostly on the faculties. It was just to introduce the platform to all academics and then perhaps requesting them to speak to those pre-alumni to say this is a platform they need to either start participating on. These are going to be content drivers and conversation sparks such as the Faculty of Management Sciences, the Department of Wholesale and Retail, Leadership Chairs, Textile and Fashion and International Office, which is spearheaded by Leslie N. Cook, based in the UK. As I indicated, there was another launch. It was held at the end of August, where emails were sent on online promotion materials and on our social media. Currently, we have about just below 800 registered users on the DUT Connect. I heard Mr. Ngubane mentioning before we started, we have about 50 plus that have already joined us. So based on that, I'm expecting that by the time we leave here, we will have reached 800 marks of those who will be on DUT Connect. As part of the fundraising drive as well, we also had the President's Cup Golf Day. The 8th edition of the President's Cup Golf Day was held. The country club Johannesburg on the 4th of October 2019. The event is a fundraiser with the two primary beneficiaries being the DUT Alumni Bursary and 1 meal once a day food security initiative. There was a positive response. We had a full ground on this case with just over 100 players that participated on that bright sunny skies. I had to spice it up with the bright sunny skies. Remember in the first edition, which was held under very serious or bad weather conditions, and it was raining and snowing. I still remember that day. There were a number of companies that participated and assisted us in this case. As this is streamed live, never know if those companies maybe are also watching or connecting. So on that note, I would like to thank the following companies and individuals for their support. Richards Bay Alloys, MTC Minerals, Sumo Sumo Project, SM Tula Advisory Services, Mr. Damane Shalele, Devon Coal Terminal, Moneo Professional Services, Mubane Company, Hybrid Control Corporation, Palm Belly Engine, Sunlam, S&E Plant Hire, Bush Consulting, IMEC Investment, Meta Kiso Consulting, SA Navy, Tumco Pty Ltd, Scuba Technologies, and internally I would like to also thank the cooperative education. I saw Mr. Ori being one of us here. I would also like to thank our numerous individual supporters who were part of the day and assisted us in the great deal. After a round of golf, obviously there was a sit-down dinner, and there was also entertainment and auction that was held with the aim of again fundraising, with those funds to be directed towards the DUT Alumni Bursary Fund and food security. And there was a prize giving ceremony, and the players' golf skills were evident as the winning team were neck and neck with their scores. I think there was just a 1 point difference between the top three, if I remember very well. And the winners of the 2019 President's Cup of Day were Nicholas Polo, a four-ball of Nicholas Polo, Mafika Tusi, Winnie Polo, and Dogozozo. At this stage, I would like to wish them and well done to our winners. And of course, many thanks to all our supporters, individuals, as well as corporate who assisted us. With regards to the beneficiaries of the individual giving program are the DUT Bursary Fund and the Food Security Initiative. I'm actually proud to report that year 2019, for that we managed to disperse 1.2 million, which was awarded to 50 students. It was one of the things that when the current convex took office, the trend was usually around 20 people that we give bursaries to in a year. And to say in our first case, yesterday when we had the meeting, I was saying to them, we should just take credit of this 1.2, but at the same time acknowledge the fact that we've set the bar high for ourselves. I will not want to come here at the next AGM and report that we've only dispersed 50,000 or 500,000 or assisted 5 students. This is the bar we've set ourselves. Come 2020, we need to meet this or even exceed this 50 students or 1.2 million to assist with tuition fees. 200,000 was allocated to food security program. In addition to this, the Advancement and Alumni Relation Office, in collaboration with the Financial Aid Office, dispersed bursaries awarded by APSA to the tune of 5.4 million to 179 students. This was again among the issues that was raised, and I'd like to thank the office for engaging and seeking this sponsorship. Remember, there was a discussion that we had with the VC in his engagement with us last year about those students either who have on their final year or doing BTEC were not being funded through NEFSAS. Always tempted to say TEFSA. It's a totally when was at the university when there was that funding. So this was solely to assist those students who are doing BTECs to be funded to be able, and those who are doing their final year. So that the idea was that you will have students graduating but not getting their diplomas or degrees on the day because they are still owing. So this was to try and help so that as and when you graduate, for those 179 students, as they graduate, they get their diploma, which equally means that they still have a chance to go and seek for employment having their diploma or degree on hand. So it was one of the initiatives that we like to pride ourselves for having achieved in the year 2019. The Engineering Education Trust, through the office, also funded 7 black female students studying towards the engineering qualification to the tune of 283,000, That is a total of about 6.8 million to 236 students that have been assisted this year through the bursary facility by the office. We also have the DUT Connect Alumni Magazine. This is the biannual magazine for alumni. I'm sure those that do register or part of the DUT Connect, they do get an electronic copy of that. And the first edition, the autumn issue was mainly focusing on the fourth industrial revolution, and the spring issue focused on health and lifestyle matters. And we do engage from time to time, or we'll ask alumni to give us a piece to be published on that, and we'll continue on that. With regards to social media, as I said, we have a footprint still growing. So we would like to request that those that have reached their maximum on Facebook accounts also share the link of DUT with those ones, so that we also try and up the numbers who are following us, the alumni page on Facebook. The numbers are as indicated that on Twitter we have 832 followers, Facebook 324,000, and LinkedIn is 59,000. Updating on information, I encourage you to always update your details, colleagues. As I've said, it's important that as and when you try to keep in touch with your any other information, like in this case, if you had to have that session with the Vice Chancellor, who would like to be able to communicate or to keep in touch with your latest contact details, so that you're able to get to you on time. With regards to university talks and engagement, as I've indicated, that the office has formed part of the department pre-alumni activities aimed at creating awareness of the department. This is to talk to the students who have not yet graduated, hence we term them the pre-alumni, just to sensitize them so that people don't just get to know about it only when they have left the university. So that was the whole idea with regards to that. And the first event was held on Friday, the 18th of October at Mansfield, and the presentation was made by the Student Counseling, ICON, and the Disability Unit, FNECTAS, Student Christian Organization. And there was also another staff awareness lunch, which was to try to cultivate and nature staff. And the department held the awareness lunch at the DUT Hotel School on the 25th of October. The whole idea, remember I was engaging with colleagues, others were saying they don't even know that there is an alumni relation office within the university. And how far we expect the graduates to be aware of it. Our own staff members doesn't know that we exist within the university. So that was one of the issues that we're trying to address. As I go towards the end of my report, I would like to just touch on challenges. I think some of them are ongoing. The issue of staffing within the office. I know Ms. Kengubane has been struggling on this regard, but there is some progress with regards to filling of posts within the office. And again, there has been the issue of women representation on convex. As I did indicate as I was introducing the members that we had co-opted during the course of the year. We will continue to on this part to try and make sure that we increase women participation or representation on the committee. So with the co-option that we've done, it doesn't mean it ends there. We're still going to do a skills assessment, and when we identify skills that need to be co-opted, we'll gladly do so. As I indicated, we've recently co-opted Dr. Knowledge One, who's an internal academic, as well as Ms. Shabangu, external alumni, as well as Ms. Nokolo Namela, who's an internal staff. Last but not least, the concern. It's a well-known fact that the country is currently going through challenging economic times, where people will seek various economic opportunities to try and make sure that they deal with the issues of unemployment and the likes. As such, our university is also not not immune in this. There are a number of expectations from all various quarters. Some of them as indicated earlier on, that some of things that might have been raised with the Vice Chancellor last time. And some time will go above and beyond what is expected of us. And in this case, as a council representative, there was a report on council meeting held in September, and I seek permission from the registrar to just take an extract of what was reported on council with regards to alumni. And I would like to read verbatim what was cited by the council held in September 2019. My decision not to bother council about exogenous matters does not suggest that our space is immune from undesired external pressures, which may, if not properly managed or stopped altogether, foil our ability and capacity to successfully execute the university strategy for development, change, and transformation. I believe more in seeking and providing solutions than in mourning as if one is a hapless victim of circumstances. I further believe that council appoints executive in full confidence that they will navigate through complex controls immanent in the execution of their duties. If every small matter is reported to council, we could run the risk of diminishing or even eroding that confidence. Be that as it may, I have arrived at a point where I think I need to make council aware of the worrying phenomenon that appears to be embedded in the regional or DUT culture. It emanates mainly from alumni, business persons associated with them, and senior student leaders. Climate is everything. In the life of every organization, it is not just the internal capabilities that determine the success of the organization, but also the premise of internal characteristics that guarantee organizational survival and success. It is again this backdrop that I felt that the need to sensitize council about demands brought to bear on us from our external environment, especially alumni, business networks, and senior students. Fellow alumni, as I said, I'm close quote, as I was quoting what was on the council document. Reading from that, I think we can take note that it doesn't augur well when as an organization, or professional organization in this case, we are being cited negatively on council reports. I therefore humbly request that alumni perhaps resist such foreign tendencies, if I were to call them as such, and when necessary, let's do proper follow-up on our procurement policies of the university, and let's follow those processes. And I'm aware that at some stage I have been approached by convocants seeking to suggest some ideas of how we can influence the policy of the university, and I welcome those suggestions. And I did request some of those convocants, where some of them might be here, others might not be here, to say let's put a document together. If there is a need that we need to approach the university as convocation to say we feel that the procurement policy of the university does not take care of our alumni. Remember, we make examples such as if in terms of their 80-20 or 90-10, depending on the threshold and how they allocate points, if maybe out of the 20 there is HDI or HDSA or disability or women or youth, we will seek to request that the university must acknowledge that in awarding of their bids or tenders, maybe there should be at least 2 points that is allocated for those bidders who are former students of the university, so that as they bid, and I did encourage the alumni, let's put up a document. I will fully support that we table that, even if it means to cancel and request that the university procurement policy be reviewed. But that, notwithstanding what I've just reported, and in this case, it wasn't for me to try and defend on council, but I felt that it is better than, because I don't even know who are those individuals whom council or the report on council was relating to. But it is important that I must cite those types of reports and say they do not overwhelm for council being for alumni being reported on council or having to try and find ways. So I'm just gonna request, especially through my president, let's see how, let's engage colleagues. If there's ways that we can try and do things above board, like in case of influencing policy, it's part of our mandate. Let's do that. The whole matter was revolving around procurement, and I'm trying to request and opening it up right now that whoever who feels how best we can influence, let's put up a document. Our next convex meeting is in March. If whoever from now work on the document, let's put it together, let's discuss it at convex in March. We'll come back and report and say, obviously changing the policy, it's not an overnight process. We can table it and say we request that procurement policy be reviewed, look into that. And obviously it includes lobbying of other stakeholders who need to support the idea within the university process. I will humbly request, and if there are any, because I would hate to get to a stage where there will be alumni who are singled out individually as having done that. It just doesn't augur well for us. For my time being on council, there's never been a stage where there's been a report about alumni. Hence, I took exception to this, and I did write to register to request permission to take as it is from the report on council and declassify it so that I can share. Because it's going to be on my website, so we just need to know. But I'm humbly requesting, let us put a document. If it means so one of the resolution must come out here, let us put and try and influence and see how we can, let's do that, rather than being cited. Because it doesn't have, if it means it's, whatever that you might have tried to achieve, clearly it means you will not be able to achieve with the current status quo. So let's try and find ways and make use of our role as alumni. Concluding remarks, I would like to thank you, my fellow alumni, for giving up your Saturday afternoon, it's clearly Saturday evening, to support your alma mater issues. And I also wish to extend my gratitude to the committee for their contribution and commitments to convocation and the university for the current year of 2019. I thank you. At this stage, I would like to request for reflection on the report. See if we have addressed some of the issues that we've taken up as convex. I would like to invite a reflection on the report. And if I can maybe note hands. I will note them in that order, colleagues, if you can assist me when you take it. My fellow alumni, you'll be the first one, you'll be the second one, my chief, you'll be the third one, you'll be the fourth, you'll be the fifth, my chief, you'll be the sixth one, the seventh one, the eighth, 9, and 10. 11. Because I saw the hands come up at different times, so that's why I'm jumping around, because I could see which one. So can you please follow that order in reflecting on the report?
Thank you, President. I greet the House in the name of Michael. Michael the angel, not Michael that we are. I just want to highlight, maybe I'll go back to my sister's question there about financials, but it's a financial related question. On the specific event, the President Golf Cup Golf Day, it states there, it highlights
like 3 amounts of money by particular companies, but it doesn't really say how much was actually spent on the event. So to see the viability of this event, I think it would have assisted us to actually know how much do you actually spend on such event, and how much did you raise for that event. And also on the beneficiaries part, I think the AGM, it will be helpful to actually know the way you select the beneficiaries. Thank you.
Thanks, Siyabonga, Zwane, that you are not going to talk since you are here. I'm going to be well represented here. One is to say, we think we all have the common interest as per the objectives of alumni stated in the Constitution, that we want to ensure that we see DUT as a much improved University of Technology. I remember when we were moved from DIT to DUT, the narrative was that we can't be called an institute. We must advance with the Asian territory of University of Technologies to become a University of Technology like Asian universities and of technology and South American University of Technologies. And we were told that that concept is a growing concept that they want to put us at the level of those comprehensive universities, meaning we will lead in technology. And some amongst the most important thing, leadership, is that we must highlight, in your speech, I didn't see much of it, which is very critical for us as convocates, having play a role in different spheres we are at this stage, to say we touch on it, which is a fourth industrial revolution, and the alignment, therefore, with the University of Technology called DUT, to say what is it that we are doing as alumni to make sure that DUT is in line with where the country is going in as far as fourth industrial revolution. It's so upsetting. I have a brother who studies there. It's so upsetting to see that young brother coming back and cry foul about very small technological advancement that we ourselves are now enjoying as a normality. Not only Wi-Fi, I'm talking about Wi-Fi, I'm talking about the serious things. Which I think should be our priority. If we were to advance the education of a black young woman and a young man, we need to be able to digitalize in a way that their colleagues in Germany, their colleagues wherever all over the world are able to connect at that level. It's very crucial. We can't produce students who are only in their own space called DUT. We must produce societal think tanks, not labor factory workers. People that it is very sad to see students graduate marching as unemployed graduates. Because it means there's a problem there. For you to obtain education, it must give you capabilities to advance yourself and those around you without dependence. I'm saying unemployment as a means of success only. It means we're still producing labor factory workers, not societal think tanks, those who are able to stand alone and be able to move the country forward, irrespective of a job. Now, it is our duty, therefore, that we advance that program It's very important. So that this spread of unemployed graduates become a history of the question of the past. We have societal think tanks that those, even when they are unemployed, they are able to produce ideas. They are able to produce other leaders or produce ideas that will run the country forward, which is very important, without them being necessarily employed. Because if DUT or any other university were to perpetually just produce people who are waiting for employment, we are yet to find a serious crisis in this country. Of a barrage number of unemployed graduates, given the status quo of our economy and the status quo of our political parties in general, and you can see we're not going anywhere. So the question of economic growth is something that we must not rely on government. It must be us here who produce an environment for our graduates to bring that economic growth, not their leadership at the level of government. So we must invest in the fourth industrial revolution in terms of practical fundraising now, practical ideas that begin to say DUT move in this position. That's one. The second one, the second one, as you can see here again at the DUT Bay Boys Club, you know, since I was there, since when she was the council member, I was the president, he was their council. I'm not saying anything, our shares now, let's go for it to again. Let's bring females, let's bring others, especially females. It's been male dominated. Those who are deployed into government, it's male dominated, unless I'm corrected. But from my experience, it's always been like that. The other one, oil barbers and abstracts from council. We must also be able to identify co-cast views as they are. You come to council, you cry about people, you don't mention them, you say nothing, but you put a statement. And the statement now must begin to say, who is this person? We begin to see each other now, who's this? But there's no one here. But now it becomes a statement of council. A very clear statement that they are alumni who are trying to influence the procurement pools of the universities. Very limited amount of fraud and corruption. We reflect it to council. Who investigated? No one. Where could we headed from? If it's a rumor, we don't tell us about that rumor. So you behave like media generally. You just raise something, but it's unverifiable. We are supposed to be dealing with the issue. I raised this issue to say some of the graduates owe this university money. And some of them, you will produce them as engineers, as architects, as then surveyors. In their different fields, we produce them. And some of them are running prolific companies, very big companies, some of them. We interact with them. But they are all in the university. They still all in the university. They don't have their certificates. Why don't the university give them an opportunity? Because you produce them. You produce an engineer, you don't want him to work here in the university. It doesn't make sense. It's your own production. If this engineer was to build a structure and it collapses, it's because of Macu there in S-Block. He told them that thing that is collapsing. Now, it's just a simple logic. You must have trust in your own graduates. That's what you must have. Because if you assist that one to get some work in the university, he is able, therefore, even from the same system of university, to pay the university, get his qualification, and move on with life. You are providing an environment, an able environment for that person to be. I'm just citing one example. So it's very paramount. You found that these procurement policies, now they are councillors here. People that have never went to school, they have never went anywhere. Councillors are here. They are now suddenly they are the ones who are administrating these processes, which is wrong. Universities now are interacting with what councillors. I'm not saying it's wrong to interact with the what that you are in. But don't put pressure on more and all these people, then you begin to act like them. Because that's what you're currently doing as a university. That's what the university currently does. That's what the currently does. You just get anyone to say you're going to build a structure university. But where is capacity here? What trust do you have with this person? No, we just have a company. It's from this one. It's from here. It's this one. He must be giving this thing quickly. we can't work like that here. We want professionals here, which we have in DUT. Now we are saying when you speak, which is the government policy, and these are institutions of our public institutions, say 30% should be given to its locality. Our locality is our graduate. It cannot be just someone staying there in a flat who's moving away from that flat. The next day is being chased by landlord somewhere else, but it's got a job in DUT. Yeah. It can't work like that. We must prioritize our own, and we cannot compromise that. Cannot be compromised. We've got some people who have been doing job in DUT since before we arrived. They are still there. What about all these young students who are languishing all over this country, unemployed with skills? What are we doing about their own products? We should take cognizance of that, and we should raise that thing as a matter of fact thing. We want the university to assist those people, which is a question of saying, for us to say we want to fund it for university, you must produce people capable of fundraising. So if you produce the business community, you've got the capacity of fundraising because you have produced the business community. Lastly, we must, as the convocation here, as convocates, we must appreciate one fact, that it is not only us here that are the think tanks of DUT. I'll make an example. Where I interact with people, I've got a young sister who's CA Johannesburg is from DUT. I would wish to say to leadership, our leadership, please go and identify strategic, not all of us, because some of us are politicians, we might not be strategic at that level. Strategic student graduates. When I say strategic, I don't mean those who attend these gatherings here like this, who are going to assist us in advancing what we're speaking about. We're speaking about fundraising for university, making sure that policy direction is being influenced. For example, I'll make a simple example. We've got Kaye Kwayanda here. He sits in the conference of the ANC. If you want to address any transformational agenda in a university, you need to effect that through those policy conferences, which is going to become part and parcel of the Higher Education Act in terms of policy. Now, you should be trying to say, who do we put for an example? Institutional Forum. What role is this person going to play in a broader society, or is playing in a broader society, not in this gathering here, as whether we are majority or not majority. But what role that person will play in general in making sure that whatever we want to advance as convocants does go as far as reaching those who are policymakers. Well, it doesn't make sense that we speak about transformation here ourselves as a convocant, but no one going to be able to put this thing to a level where it listens to those who take decision on policy. So, as I say about issues of fundraising, we've got those CAs produced by DUT. I see no CA, and that's what I now say. People school that has capacity and academic knowledge in advancing such strategic positions to be amongst us so that we are being assisted. I think if we do that, one, we won't have problems of having comrade questioning things. Because everything will be prudently written. For example, you speaking about now, as comrade, hey, where is that money? What happened here? An accountant will just put that thing here. Clear. Very clear. For you, leadership, not yourself. They will do it for you. You don't have to write it yourself. You don't have to be your handwriting. Get someone skilled who's our own graduates to do those things or to advise you in doing those things. That's what we need. So what I'm saying, let's involve as much people as we can to participate if our interest were to advance DUT, were to make sure that DUT that we are graduates of remain in the top icons of the University of Technology in South Africa. So that our qualifications are not taken for granted in the near future. That we are carrying diplomas and BTECs which are from a university which is now tantamount to nothing, because it is possible for DUT, we might have graduated for DUT when it was a good university. In the future, you come from DUT, they say, hey, from there, we can't take you. Because there are now problems which are manifesting, which have manifested. So I'm saying, let's involve as much people as we can. And don't make this thing a stopfell of certain individual that now, hey, this is our thing. Then therefore, by then, if we do that, we will never have this venue as a venue for our AGM. We will have a bigger venue. Because this venue itself tells a lot about who we are. When we've got more than enough graduates to fill the entire land of Riverside, not this venue, the entire land here. Graduate can fit from the gate till the last fence there. They can be here. I'm saying, let's involve everyone. Let's forget about the thing of election. Let's not be in. You don't have to live. It doesn't about you. It's not about you. As long as the university interests are being served, that's important. The problem we have is that we come to these things with a mind that you must elect this one. It's not elected. The problem. No. We must suspend that. What else is here? What house comes here? Here we are here to serve the interest of the university, and that's all. That's why you are here. So that must do. And I'm saying, I'm encouraging the leadership that you begin to attract more of us. Because we've got different capabilities and we can assist at that level without being elected. We can give you those positions and have them. We remain where we are. Thank you.
I know I've noted 11 hands, colleagues, and I'm tempted. Can I have some order of business, please? Can we please listen to each other? I would like to humbly request on that, please. I've noted 11 hands, and the intention was to take the questions, and I'm not intending to stop anyone from talking. If you decide to talk until morning, I will allow you. But I'm just going to appeal to those that are coming next. Let us be cognizant of the time. In particular, we also need to address some stomach politics at a particular time. The restaurant will be closing. Unfortunately, we couldn't arrange to have a bride along the river there, or what it's called, Blue Lagoon or something, where we can be open until any time. So I'm just humbly appealing to the following speakers to please be cognizant of the time. And I'm expected to, some of it are comments, are positive comments and negative comments, which we're gonna take it kindly, and it's a role of convex as they are here to take on this thing and make sure they action them. But I've just noted so many that will say I will end up forgetting. I would like to address these ones that have been brought to my attention before continuing. Because as I was noting questions, I was making my own notes. So can I please, before I go to the other hands, just try and address these ones? I'm suggesting to other, I've noted that people have noted, so I don't want people to say I'm cutting them off, but I'm just saying there's just been almost about 8 questions that have been raised already, and I'm still on my second speaker. So I wanted to answer this one, but I'm getting an indication that let me take hands, so that's fine. Let me continue with that one. Who was number 3? I've only noted, well, it's Michael and Tam that spoken. There was number 3, yeah? I think it was you, my sister. Oh, she's, you're covered. Okay. Can you please assist me? Yes. Okay, can we then go to number 4?
No, thank you, President. Let me join in welcoming the report. Well, I think the President, we mustn't lose sight of the coexistence of convocation. I do appreciate what the initiatives, many initiatives and many good things that we are doing. I've looked in terms of I first looked in terms of the highest paid vice chancellors in South Africa. The highest paid vice chancellor is from the University of Stellenbosch. I've also considered the richest or the wealthiest convocation in all universities in South Africa, and it became a coincidence that again the University of Stellenbosch as well seems to be leading in terms of the wealth, and we must therefore ask ourselves, what is it that they are doing that we are not doing? Or what is it probably that we need to change in terms of the model of doing things, so that at least we are able to achieve whatever, all the programmatic issues that we are speaking about, we need at least to contribute positively for the growth of the universities as ambassadors of the university, because as we become graduates, we then become automatically ambassadors of the university. And I just want to zoom in on the issue that we spoke about in fact the issue of council and the opinion in terms of the convocations with regards to the procurement processes of the university. Look, because convocants have obligations in themselves to ensure that they contribute in the livelihood of the university, and therefore they are part and parcel of the university. I do agree that this annual general meeting must therefore resolve on influencing the reviewal of the SCM processes of the university, of the policies of the university. For us to be able to get more convocations, making contributions to the university must be able to give them opportunities to do business with the university, so that they are able to do and address 2 things: continuously contribute to ensure that there is a continuous assistance of the poor students who are in need. But secondly, when they do business, their business grows. And ultimately, they'll then create more job opportunities for our own graduates. We're solving two problems in which I think we're currently suffering. If we're saying we have unemployed graduates continuously that we produce, we must be worried. It calls us to think more creative. Part of the creativity that we must then influence the processes, and therefore, if you may allow, I would then propose that probably the AGM agrees that we say probably we look in terms of what could be the methodology, because I do believe that probably we may need to have some kind of a DUT graduate business forum, which then become a chapter of the convocations to then do and look in terms of the systematic process of ensuring that at least there is a percentage given to business of graduates of the university in terms of the supply chain processes of the university for them to address the two fundamental problems in which has been identified. Firstly, to ensure that we keep up with this, in fact, we move very fast to help. We will not have fifth, but at least we continuously probably give more in terms of the assistance. That is the first proposition, Chair. Mr. President, I want to make in terms of this process, so that we are able to then address those issues. Because you remember that we great initiative like Homecoming. Homecoming was made for graduates to be able to understand each other and where people are doing, so that those that are doing well in the society, in the position of employment, either in business, they are able to interact with those that are not doing well, so that then they are integrated in the process, because this is the platform that we must continuously create for graduates of DUT to ensure that at least they are helped and supported, and there is a developmental process to ensure that at least the value chain does not stop. But if we are not influencing business in the university, we are not going to be. So I think this is a very good comment, by the way, and we must accept that if there's that eager to influence the processes. The issue we must then resolve that no, let's do it in accordance with the laws of South Africa. It must not be outside legal framework, so that people are not doing wrong things under the disguise of the convocation. Things must be done systematically and structured to ensure that at least we influence. The second issue, Chair, I want to speak to is the resuscitation of chapters of the convocation. And I think in the last AGM we did spoke about, and the suggestion was that probably now, because before it was on the basis of regions, KZN or Durban would then have a chapter, then their graduates of the university would then become a structure, and they are coordinated and then speak. And then there was a suggestion that probably we then need to relook in terms of the establishment, because we do have groups, probably those that are doing journalism who are working, well, duty shining in journalism in South Africa. Probably they may have a WhatsApp group. It will therefore be easy to help them to coordinate each other, because we need more graduates of the university to ensure that they contribute in this university. Now, we must always be worried if the science continuously is getting minimized on a daily basis, because we need to attract those that are not participating in the process. How then do we do that? Probably we need them to look in terms of their professions. Then convocation may then consider that Probably chapters need to be revitalized, but revitalized on the basis of people's professions. Engineers, they may obviously have groups in terms of the generations, and they know each other. So if they are coordinated and established, that will therefore be able to make. But I think those are propositions that I just want to make in terms of the resuscitation of chapters. I said the first one is on the business graduate, DUT business graduate forums, and then the second one is that we then need to then look in terms of mobilizing them in terms of profession, so that at least there is a maximum participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, I'm still going to just be sensitive on time. And colleagues, let's not forget, we are just reflecting on the report. And obviously, in the process of engagement, there will be suggestion that comes up. But again, I'm going to be very strict in terms of how we've set issues that you want to raise for discussion. Because it is important that as you raise these issues, we internalize, we absorb, we apply our mind into it, which is why it is important that we address some of these issues long before this session. Hence, we had the plan to say AGM in 4 weeks. Within 2 weeks, raise issues that you want to bring to the attention of the AGM so that we are aware. I'm not responding to it, but I'm just trying to sensitize that we are reflecting on the President's report, and there are guidelines of submitting issues, and let's stick to that. We're addressing Mr. Shanga. Did I get the surname right in this case? I don't want to repeat Mtleje's issue. Because you are no longer, I did ask that whoever will speak, please introduce yourself.
Mandla Shanga.
Okay. Now I'm just saying whether I'm correct, because I've noted that I'm still going to request those that are coming up, just mention, please indicate your name so that it can be noted. Okay, who was number 5? I think it was this side. Oh.
No, thanks, Chair. I think it's a principle that one shall first welcome the reports and also appreciate the opportunity of being granted the platform to speak. My name is Pepelo Ntim Bowesbong. I'll just shoot straight, Chairperson, reflecting on the support that the convocation received for their birthday. I've seen a number of companies being listed here, up to a point whereby we go to programs that exist within the convocation office through alumni relations, which is a bursary-driven program that is offered by ABSA. But I think this raises a question, Comrade Chair. It's a question that has always been in existence in DUT in terms of CSR, corporate social responsibility. DUT banks with Standard Bank. I'm not sure whether it's a coincidence that I do not see any of their contribution made back to the institution, or is it a deliberate sabotage, maybe by you not to mention if they've made any contribution towards advancing the interest of the institution. Because in general terms, banks use money to generate loans in which in return they make interest, which then becomes a profit for them. Now, can you imagine Standard Bank being used as the bank, as the institution used for payments and all that? Each year in DUT, we attract more than 2,000 first years, not mentioning second years and third years and BTECs, that are subjected to pay their registration fees through Standard Bank. But it becomes a disgrace that from all the contributions that the office continuously receives, there's none that comes from Standard Bank as part of their CSR. To an extent that we have dropouts from the likes of financial accounting. Not that I'm using this opportunity to lobby a sponsor for my friend who couldn't even finish his BTEC on time due to financial exclusions, while there are such institutions that continuously make money from us as the institution.
So it's a view that I'm submitting to the House that maybe convocation moving forward shall also tap into those companies that have always benefited from the institution parts, whom are not continuously contributing towards advancing the institution. Moving back to your reports in terms of social media. As the latter speaker has alluded, DUT produces best of the best when it comes to journalists. Some are popular known, Samuel Masego is a product of DUT who's making waves in ENSA as a political analyst or political journalist. Now, DUT has also made an advancement in terms of the program that was adopted by the Department of Education, which is to decolonize institutions of higher learning. I've recently learned that from next year, if I'm not mistaken, there is a new logo that will be used for the institution, which also uses Zulu as a translation from the University of Technology to University of Technology. But it's so unfortunate that that alone doesn't find expression not only to us as those who are around the institution, but to the entire nation worldwide, to say DUT prides itself as the institution that continuously seeks to transform. It's so unfortunate that we continuously produce best of the best for the industry, but we always fail ourselves to advance using our own benefits. Referring to the other speaker as well, he also mentioned the issue of OIR. I'm not sure whether it's a coincidence or what, but I think the Ministry of Basic Education was on campus, if not last week, way back, doing a visit for principals that are currently trained by DUT in robotic and coding. Now, can you imagine DUT is being recognized by the basic education to train their own staff, but in DUT there's no advancement in terms of the 4R. It's a crisis. I'll try to be short, Chair, because there is no I didn't stand up because I wanted to contradict my heart. I'm very tall. So we'll be patient in terms of time. It's also a question that has always been raised. I think it was raised Sunday, after gathering that we had. We were being asked as to how can we positively contribute in making sure that the participation in programs of convocation becomes maximum, not only in numbers but also in race, because DUT prides itself as a diverse institution. But if I'm just looking around here, there's not a true reflection. It's like now, it's a challenge, or it's a view that one wants to submit as well to the current leadership of convocation, to say what happened to our graduates that are not of our race after they've left campus. Is it that we do not cater for them, or is it because they are gradually losing interest to come back and contribute in shaping the institution forward? Because it can't be that DUT having to produce a number of graduates of not black as a race. We have Indians, we have whites, we have colors. But when we have gatherings of former or alumni of the institutions, only us as blacks. Not mentioning that it's only dominated by those who have previously participated in leadership positions at DUT, and those maybe that have still interest in moving DUT forward. Lastly, President, I think it's a well-known fact, most, to say we need to be drivers of a very popular slogan that says charity begins at home. I know you have raised it as a concern, the issue of employment in a country time.
But it will be very injustice of us not to zoom into our own space as alumni of DUT. I know for a fact there are currently projects that are going on campus. The introduction of a new student center and also the extension of engineering block at Midlands, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe one would also like to know the convocation entirely to say, let us try by all means, as much as we can have big objectives to absorb graduates, but in these few projects that are coming in, let's try by all means to absorb our graduates gradually. I understand, as we've also alluded that to change a system or to change policies is not a binary. If you can't do it with the blink of an eye, it's a process. But for as long as there are positive steps that are being taken moving forward, obviously inspired by a Japanese proverb that says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This will be appreciated as long as we're moving forward. Thanks, Chair.
It was number 6. Number 7.
Thanks, Chair. Use the handheld mic.
No, it means you were not here because that was number 4. Number 5 has withdrawn the lead.
No, I was number 5, Chair. This was number 3.
That's fine if you come after. As I said, I've noted 11 hands. I can't remember who it was. If you feel you were number 5, you will come after the speaker.
Thanks, Chair. I think we need to welcome the co-option of some of our former graduates into the conference we just need to welcome the co-option of some of our graduates to the conference, as listed in your report. Secondly, it's just a follow-up on the matter that was raised by the previous president of Dr. Lange. Stalwart, what happened? What has happened to that honoring Dr. Lange? Lastly, because I think all the previous speakers have spoken about the same matter, issues of procurement, issues of employment. How do we prioritize our graduates to ensure that it becomes a policy? We just need to give blessings to the leadership to say, go and push this matter at council everywhere. Let's have a policy that will ensure that we have our graduates being made a priority in terms of employment and procurement of the university. And if we do not have a graduate who qualify on certain things, which are some of the things which are owned by the monopolies, so let then have your CPGs coming from your graduates, or CPG or graduate being part of our CPGs in some of the whether scarce skills or scarce products or services in terms of procurement. I think those are my submissions.
Thanks. Can you say who you are and then maybe unpack the CPGs because others might not know what are
Igama lami ngumthunzi Sibongo Agumede. CPG is basically based on the preferential procurement processes that was adopted by government in 2005.
Amendment, yeah.
And then there's a latest amendment as amended under the previous leadership on radical economic transformation agenda. So, Utato Zuma, So what basically means Uguti, there should be 30, but institution there's a minimum of 30% that needs to go to the community, but the community then will be defined by the institution. What if the municipality defines the community as the ward, or do you define as the or former students or a certain group within the community. So whatever, that 30%, it's a minimum. So university can go and say our CPG is 40%, like you have in what was their CPG is 40%. Other municipalities they can or set aside. They can even be set aside to say on this project, on this program, on these positions, we're setting aside. We want to employ 50, or we want to take about 50 of our women graduates, or so those are set aside, basically. That's why I asked that.
No, I think I'm the champion.
Lapho mhlawumbe akabona ithuba ukuthi athande ukuthi isikhathi usakhuluma phambi nekhona ngikhuluma leadership. Now I want to speak about the issue DUT Connect online platform lekhuluma ngecompany yase-UK based UK. I think DUT really wathatha ama-students ase-DUT serious. Mathiwa athola imali encane ahambe ayovula ama-companies afuna ukuba usomabhizinisi, kodwa akwazi ukuthi ebuyele DUT azoseva i-DUT kahle. Yabona le company le kuthiwa i-based UK under i-DUT Connect. I want you to check a company called Blackboard, where it's open. And it's accumulating serious money in DUT. And it's doing nothing. Nothing. And also we want to speak about the issue of ITS and DUT. And the issue of internet. I wanted the Vice Chancellor to be here today. Maybe to take a walk with the Vice Chancellor, to go to a library somewhere, or go to a sports center somewhere and try to connect in DUT and try to get a Wi-Fi. Very difficult. We're paying serious money. This is the university, this is not the high school. Must be taken seriously. Can't be told about UK-based companies and then we are bold to come and tell us about these companies. They don't do nothing about DUT. They're claiming serious money. If you go to the budget of DUT, the dark budget of DUT, the old people are getting serious money. Millions of money. And we know them, they are white. So we'll deal with them. So moving towards this DUT Connect, and also want to deal with the issue of textile and all this retail leadership and so forth. No DUT is a neighbor with the Umbido, whereby there are industrials there of textile and so forth. But we have never seen any problem which the alumni leadership encouraging itself to go and engage those companies to say that, can you please play a role here to take these students and be part and parcel of your companies as textile, because you find many students in DUT. This thing of pay is a serious problem. As much as that DUT, I think about 80% are using NSFAS. But at the end of the day, they want to pay. And that president will pay for the students pay for himself training. They pay for it. But DUT doesn't offer students himself training. But they want students to graduate. That in maritime development, there's an agency appointed by the dean, faculty dean. Is their own cocoon there, they are doing their own thing. Appointed an agency to select students for INSEF. There are students who are sitting at home for 3 years to not finish INSEF training. Maritime studies is class 8 in South Africa. Then you want us to take you serious. These are serious issues. The country is running to a loss of having universities that are not going to be able to produce people who are skilled. By the way, they are blocked by the university, which they are paying for them to be rendered service. But at the end of the day, you go to a dean, you go to an HOD, you go to a DVC, you go to a project or whatever, called David, you go to the Vice Chancellor. There's no answer of why these 3 year students who are sitting in maritime, who do not have in-service training in maritime, have not graduated. And then their HODs, they are telling them that if you don't graduate this year, you must go to Cape Town for you to finish your diploma. Because here, we are ending this phase. It's a problem. And also, we want to deal with this golf club thing. So people know when they are playing golf, there's too much of excitement. There's no focus there. There's no focus in flamboyant and luxury life of hotels. So we want the convocation to take us very serious. You can't say that you are fundraising through golf. Also, you must be able to get the last part of it, because this golf issue, it comes to the food security of DUT. You can't say that students in food security, when they didn't have money, financial aid didn't support them, they don't have money, that background is disadvantaged. We have a system of higher education that is not enabling students to be able to be funded, and then they fall under the certain criteria that now they should go to financial aid and get the food security and get 20 rand per day. What can you use for 20 rand per day?
There is a head that I'm not sure that's part of what
we're helping, not a point of contact. We're senior people to culture and so on. We're saying, let's separate the issues. The SRC issues, let them be addressed by the SRC. And because with no capacity to know who can save this training and so forth, we're not in DUT. We can hardly enter. It's always a student card. So can we just deal with what affects us as per our objectives?
No, thanks, Chair. I want to deal with the issue of DUT Connect Alumni Magazine in the issue of the 14th Assembly Revolution, whereby I speak about the issue of how then do we make sure that matters of the fourth industrial revolution are being transformed. So there are many issues that we have to be able to address with the Department of Entrepreneur Desk, that we wish that the convocation should be able to assist us, because some of the issues there within the desk itself are not being able to assist us, because there's a criteria that is being introduced that if you want to be assisted by the entrepreneur desk, you must be a student, or either you must be a former student for you to get funding. I think that is also important, but also wanting to get to the issue of procurement department. I think some of the speakers try to address this issue, but also, Comrade Chair, in terms of issues of procurement, there are things that we find it very difficult to understand in DUT. And I want to say this with patience. Number one, when you go to the system of procurement in DUT, either you are a former student or either you have graduated from any certain level, or a master's or a PhD student, you are told that you must go to a system whereby you must register your company and wait for 6 months for you to be registered within the system of the database, for you to get a registration number, for you to be listed within the companies that are within DUT. And number two, Corporate Chair, there are things that are happening in DUT that we wish the convocation can be able to address. That whenever you enter that system of procurement.
Sorry to disturb. Can I request? I can see the AGM is having many ones on the side. Can I please request for your patient colleagues? Let's keep each other here, please. Don't worry, we are protected, my chief. We are still on the floor.
No, thanks, Chair. So after we have registered within the procurement department, we are told to wait for 6 months because a certain person for you to update you is not within the office, for you to get a database number, then you get it. And number two, you are requested to not be part and parcel. There's a certain thing that is called an emergence database in DUT for business people who want to participate in DUT, either catering companies or maintenance.
There's a point of order, right?
No, yeah, we understand. My point of order is on the speaker. The speaker is educating us about the supply chain management processes of the university, which is not part and parcel of the president's report that we must then interrogate about the practical processes of the supply chain management processes. If the proposition by this, because the speaker does not make propositions, it gives a narrative of what happened at DUT. There are no propositions, and it has just went very long. That is why I thought it is important that I raise that point of order, that a speaker can at least bring back a discussion on the basis of the submissions made, not to lecture us about the processes within the university. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thanks.
It's not an order, Chair. My suggestion, can you give us all 2 minutes?
I'm not sure that those hands are seconding that. Okay, then I'll be guided by the hands. Is that, are you saying, I was asking if the hands are seconding or is it?
I'm seconding the proposal, Chair.
Okay, that's fine. The House has spoken. I'll limit. You remember when we started, even when we're going to the minutes, I was asked that I was too fast. So I'm trying to be as patient as possible with the speaker. But I'm going to request going forward. There's a suggestion. Oh well, as the chair, I'm implementing that. It's 3 minutes. Your 3 minutes starts now. As you are on the floor. We are implementing that. I'm giving you the 3 minutes too. The point of order, I did say it was sustained. And it talks to the issue of time. And I'm then saying I've made a ruling that it's 3 minutes, and I then said this 3 minutes starts now.
Start now.
Can you please that's fine. We can't apply the rules retrospectively, so let's allow him to please. Can we have some other please? Please.
Ngiceda ngegama elithi-ke yabona le foreign attendance okhuluma ka-procurement yile ispeaker sami esiraise i-order sazama ukuthi-ke nginganhlanhlathi kodwa ngikhulume ngibe sekujuleni nengqindithindaba kodwa-ke mhlekazi sesiyivala le ndaba ukuthi-ke lama-foreign tendencies adedelwa ama-officials nabantu abakwi-authority e-DUT okuzofanele bakholwe into account akade ispeaker sami sake sabasho abantu abafana nanjengamakhansela amaforamu esingawazi aserana i-DUT njengesiphaza ngazathi sibaya bayangena bayaphuma sama-academics siyingci sabuchopho sesibekwe eceleni sabantu abadla emgqonyeni abangenalutho. So sifuna ukuthi-ke lento yaka-procurement ibhekisiswe sokwazi ukudila ne-forensics because siyayazi ukuthi-ke isukaphi and informa wobani and siyawazi ama-officials angaphakathi e-university ayiphasele lokhu yabona.
Thank you. Please be kind to the mic as well. And your name, my fellow alumni? Tony. That's fine. Can we go to the next speaker? The numbering, I think I'm on 8 now. I swapped the 6.
No, 8 was me.
That's what I'm saying, I'm there.
Yes, no, I'm saying here I'm covered.
You are covered, thank you. Okay, number 9. And I've asked the Vice President to also assist me with time, so that I'm not being seen as being unfair. So your 3 minutes starts now. If you can please introduce yourself as well, so that I don't ask you at the end, for the sake of other that might not know you.
Okay, thank you. I'm around with Oza Chulan. A lot have been said by the convocants. However, one of the challenges that we're facing is to stand here with this way of talk and we do nothing about it. Is to also stand here resolving on what should be done in terms of paperwork and the black and white as a constitutional policy. But again, we lack implementation. I refuse to be part of the long-term process of talking. But the report was on the basis of how we have identified as a convocant issues within the institution and what blocks the transformation that was supposed to be addressed. Therefore, I feel like, as Umanga has said, that there must be a mechanism that should be used as a convocant, because we're forever having this long-term discussion, and I've seen that you also sitting 4 times every year. But these sittings will never address all the issues. Based on the critical issues which you speak about, the one I'm more of concerned of is the one of unemployment, is the one of the beneficiaries in terms of what you have acquired as a fund towards students and also to cover the gap between. One of unemployment is a two-way street in the DUT. Particularly, I'm a graduate in Pietermaritzburg. There's a particular tendency that happens where sometimes I feel like it's an insult, because we have always raised this when we're in the SRC, that it cannot be that Pietermaritzburg must always be treated as an outside child in terms of transformation. You see, we receive people who are hired or temporarily putting them on contract to occupy a position of employment in DUT, Pietermaritzburg, coming from Devon. And we have graduates that side. You have many campus on this side. You should be able to accommodate one another.
30 seconds, actually.
Another part is for you to speak about the young engagement, youngsters within the alumni. Yet again, the long-term process of being able to qualify to be a convocant, you have to wait for 5 years. It becomes another thing. So the constitution itself must be in line with what we're saying. We must not be a slave to it. The last part of everything was a proposal to say, can we consider what is the paving way forward? The paving way forward, it should be clear now. What we are resolving about, we must have committees, because we need to have mechanism of saying you need to refresh your mind as a convocant. You can't just assume that this is a problem. And these implications have been raised here are really concerning. And we need to acquire information that impede that. So let us not just iron other things without having a thorough investigation on those issues. So my proposal is to say, please, President, if you are able to go there to the ground, there must be committees within the convocation so that they can be able to deal with operational issues which can be also problematic to advance your own objectives as a convocant. So this is my submission. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think I'm around number 10 now. That was 9. There is 10, then there is 11. No, there is 10 in. Oh, point of order.
Chairperson, my name is Calvin. I propose that we separate issues here. We've got governance issues as well as operational issues. I think we need to give a clarity on that. For example, I don't think we're supposed to tap into operational matters. Thank you.
Noted. What's number 10? There's a point of clarity.
Yeah, is this an AGM?
Yes.
It's limited to what?
In terms of?
In terms of discussions. I'm saying I'm hearing something that says we must not discuss operational issues.
if they affect the structure which is accounting to us, what must we do? Just keep quiet. No, but there was another level going to now already. But we must address, but when I will speak in the future, we don't want to be called into order. That's why I'm getting clarity to say if some of the issues affect the structure that is accounting, what do we do about them? Which part of them you raised, President, anyway, in your report, which are operational, in my view here, in your report, your own report. But it's fine, we will clarify us.
The point I've noted in terms of operational, and it's because from what I've picked up from the speaker was that he was supporting what Ushanga raised in terms of the chapters when you're speaking about expanding the people who can be able to be a footprint of wherever to look at the issue. That's how I understood the operational part of it. And then I'm saying I then decided to overlook the point of order. I did not sustain it. So when I'm be answering because I'm noting, it would be to address the operational in as far as the issue of chapters, not the issue of the office. That's how I've noted it. I'm on number 11 now.
I'm good. The chair, thank you for your report. I want to underscore the importance of what President Shiz said. It is important that in your busy schedule for 2020, you must find time for us to talk about these issues. I think they need a meeting of their own. How can convocation raise awareness, capacitate, and help businesses that are formed by graduates of this university? I think that is very important. The university might not necessarily be able to offer them all opportunities, but where the university can assist, it must be encouraged. And when it cannot offer them opportunities, there must be something that must be done to assist this initiative. And also the issue of employment. So I think those points are very important. You must find the time and space in your schedule for next year that will address these things. Two, I also wanted to ask the question that was already asked by Ungoman about the golf thing. I was also interested in knowing what was the surplus, not necessarily the revenue, but you can take us to town if you may. But what was the surplus that was made? I know from the past that this is our signature event where we normally raise a lot of money. So we'll be interested to know. Lastly, Chair, Chair, our moment of pride, I'm very proud of the convocation being able to distribute 6.8 million. I think we should have clapped, all of us. I think that's a lot. We are not just speaking, we are doing. But I'm also worried at the same time. This is my worry. I want to know the amounts that were distributed. Were we distributing the tree, the capital, or were we distributing the interest, the fruit? Because if we were distributing the tree, then I'm more worried because it means there will be nothing for the future. If you remember when we started Give a Tiger, we said, let us first raise this tree to be tall enough and then we'll distribute the fruits thereafter. So I'm interested to know what is the makeup of the 6.8 million, and I want to congratulate you and your team on this distribution. We are also hopeful that next year we'll distribute 12 million with all the people in this room making contributions to Give a Tiger. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks for there's quite a lot to go through, and I'm going to try to be brief. Others I'll just summarize. Mostly without questions, with purely comments, and I'm going to request. I know I asked Mr. Ori to remain with us. I promised him that the AGM will take at most 3 hours. And unfortunately, we'll spend that 3 hours on the first item, so to say, to assist me in some of the issues, especially when it comes to the issue of humanitarian. Most of the other things are purely as the point of order that was raised on activities that are happening within the university and student issues, which I don't think as convocation we need to preoccupy ourselves with. But I will ask you to just give a few comments after I'm engaged. And I was also going to ask Umbo to assist with this. Perhaps it is, I wouldn't say it was an oversight. At the conference meeting, we did present the financials as far as the off days is concerned, how much was used, how much was made. I can safely report that we did make a surplus of 100,000 on the golf day. It is there from how much the t-shirt that I'm wearing costed, the camp, and every single detail that had to do with that, and the amount that was made based on the companies that was there. But I'll give it to Mo. I don't even have a copy of that to say how much was it. So there was that break, but all that money is in the university coffers. People were paying directly to the university. Those who have seen the adverts for golf day, they will have noticed that we were saying if you make payments, make it to the university. So we just go and pull whatever. We call it what is the DUT cost center or something. Yeah. Yes, and just see how much it reflects there with the reference number. But I'm going to ask him to come, because they start from the question that was raised by that in terms of how much was spent or made on the off, and it relates to what Uzwane had asked in terms of the golf day surplus amount. Can you just give us those numbers?
Oh, thank you, Chair. So with regards to the golf day, we made a surplus of 98,337.9. So in other words, the expenses themselves, they came to 129,802, mainly because of the venue hire and so on. And then obviously some costs relating to some of the prizes for the winning team. And then in terms of income, we made 228,140. And so there, as you indicated, we made close to 100,000. So this year, it's 98,337.9. That is the highest amount in terms of a surplus that we've made over the past 7 years of the golf.
Maybe just to add a cherry on top, on our first term of office, as the current Concord. Hence, I then reflected that we've set ourselves a bar. So it's up to us to make sure how we deal with it. The other question relates to the beneficiaries of alumni. As I deal with this one, or if there's something you want to mention, I will ask you to chip in before I let you go. If there's something you want to raise, I'm just going to address the issue of beneficiaries. If there's something you want to add, you are welcome to it. Okay. The issue about the beneficiaries of alumni bursaries and the process, we have a policy that we have as alumni that talks to the allocations and how we do it. And I'm sure the office has that information. It is in line with the financial aid policy of the university, and they form part of that. We do come up with a subcommittee within convocation or convex of about 3 members that sits and do those allocations based on the application that they have received via the university channels. Obviously, being financially needy and academically deserving and all that process, we take it from there. I remember there was a stage where we were questioning to say, but why is it only goes up until the M's? Then in terms of surnames, when you go to your VESI, so if you had applied your VESI, you were not reflecting. So we were questioning and trying to unpack everything. We must just make sure that we are transparent with our process. And in actual fact, there was even a suggestion at the convex yesterday that what happened to those videos about those people who are beneficiaries who flighting that. It's something that we took note of that. Some say we have to be sensitive to these people. We don't want to be trying to flight people who say, you see this one, and end up singing out that person within the campus to say was assisted by so and so. With regards to some questions raised by Utam, when I was talking about the DUT Connect, about the 4IR of the university, I'm disappointed, my fellow alumni, that you didn't receive a copy, because I have a full page article on the 4IR as the president of convocation, where the university want to see it going in terms of offering online facilities and studies, and make sure that they go into that. And if it means they don't go out and seek funding they shouldn't rely on government. I wrote mainly around the issue of YR and where it is and how industries can also assist in that regard. Yes, it's not just our university. There's quite a number of government and the likes and other businesses. We are a couple of steps behind the YR issue, and it's something we're going to continue to advocate on, and hopefully the university will take a particular direction in as far as that is concerned. About where is DUT going with regards to YR, I know I might be jumping the gun, but I know that the council today, or from yesterday, they have been engaged on the proposal of about a 6 billion rand, a 10-year plan in terms of infrastructure of the university. Obviously, it depends whether the money the university do get it over the 10-year period. So there's a 6 billion rand that was approved by council today in as far as looking at the infrastructure. That will talk to you. We always complain, it's not just you at the sports center. We will come in some, what is it called? It's supposed to be a conference center where the council meetings are held, but it's some room, I don't know what. No, there's one there by Hotel School, somewhere there, where it's just a very you get in there, touch your phone, says you want to connect to DUT. What is this password? We always don't connect. So you are not the only one. Even us as councillors, as I was a councillor because my tenure, I said you won't be able to connect. So it's things that we're raising. But what is happening with it? So to go back to the issue of infrastructure, and we spoke about SSS, something about the IT part of it. I know that there was a new person that has been appointed and trying to drive a new vision in terms of that. Obviously, it takes time and funding. Hence, I'm saying with that 6 billion, hopefully they'll be able to prioritize over the 10-year period. Excuse me. Congress being male-dominated. Unfortunately, in this case, we can't go against the democratic processes. If it's eventually the votes that dictates who are on Congress, that's what it is. But we have taken upon ourselves. That's why we went out and said we'll try and co-opt. And then we're very much gender sensitive. I know the issue could then be, as it was raised by who I know it's 440 newspaper, about the race part of it in terms of participation. Procurement, we've discussed it. I will try and summarize. Maybe let me just deal with it now. It is up to us. If it means as part of this AGM, let's agree that we're going to have those inputs in terms of how they. I know there are some of the members who are here who have approached me as I've said. Let's come up with that document. Let's rather try and fail than fail to try. If it means we'll come back in the AGM and say we had failed, we'll come back and say we did not succeed, but this is a document. I'm then requesting each and every one of us here. I've never seen it. Some of them have requested me to watch a copy of the procurement policy of the university. I said, I don't have it. And perhaps if they do, let's look into it. There's nothing wrong requesting because we want to input. We're not saying we want to short circuit, whatever. I'm expecting each and every one of us to assist convocation with input so that we put up a document that we'll put up for review in terms of the procurement policy. There's a number of issues that will be raised. I would like to leave it at that as far as procurement is concerned. I'm requesting, can you set a deadline for that? It's through the office.
Just to the president, it is to say, let's not leave it blank like that. So I was very clear about that. If we can get an audience with yourself, so if we identify individuals who are going to begin to write that policy position, because if we are saying each and every one of us will end up with no one writing it. Let's put people into task. Let's meet you next year, as what I was saying, give us space, we engage you precisely on this, because it's very critical. I talk about us. And some of us were not necessarily in the immediate. But I'm saying it's just for the basic to align itself with the government. So if we can give us time, next year, January, February, whenever you are free, we engage on it. We're not saying it must be done now in December.
Hey, we are switching off now as of tomorrow. It can't be now. We are winding down the year. Okay, that's fine. What I'm saying is it is up to us. Let's give it a go. Let's see how we can do about it. I will take that arrange with the office and see. Perhaps even prior to engaging with the VC, because from what one had raised, in terms of raising awareness and capacitating alumni. Perhaps that's what we need to arrange as we invite the VC to give us the strategic 2020 to 2030. That's because at that stage it's not an AGM, but it must be some mini homecoming of some sort that you need to have, and perhaps at that stage engage better. So I will note that. There's a sorry about that. We are addressing stomach politics without sense. The kitchen is saying they will be closing soon. Do you have a clarity or a follow-up?
Infrastructure from the from what has happened throughout alumni and so forth. Preliminary processes for the student center developed by DUT. We get infrastructure, alumni, a sort of a database. Abantu abawosomabhizinisi alumni abazoparticipate within i-development ye-capacity ye-student center infrastructure. I think the information efike izolo because unobhala ithola.
That's fine. Point of order sustained. Okay. Can I give Ori the opportunity to touch on a few issues?
Okay, thank you and good evening everybody. I'm just going to highlight a few points that came up here. I'm not answering for management, but I've never ever answered for management. Those of you who know me for long know that. I agree, we missed the homecoming and the chapters. We started that when convocation was still part of cooperative education. I think it was important. In terms of changing the chapters to professional associations, yes, we're actually already doing that in the health sciences. I support some of those professions with the AGMs, etc., just so that we can connect. The reason for me, convocation is important, alumni important, for me to connect to get jobs. So while all the complaints have been about jobs, how many of the alumni here help to get our students jobs, or even in-service training? This man works in Pretoria, but here we are in the government department. You tell me every time there are jobs for students, but not everyone else does. A few alumni do. Recently I met an old alumni of ours, Matutu. And she's coming up, and Matutu was very much a part of this organization. She's coming up with proposals to give us jobs. Now, if every alumni did that, if everyone, even if where you work, you do a referral, you may not be the one who hires, but do the referral. My department will come in and take it from there. But in terms of why the students don't always get placed, if any maritime student was referred to my department, they got placed. The trouble is, the students often don't even know about cooperative education because the academics don't tell them about it. So we've now got an online intelligence system for those who are testing the 4IR that we can track every student. Our man is sitting there, he works in my department as a graduate assistant, Sifiso, who runs the system. So he can track students now a lot better. Plus, we've gone one step further in that, we get stipends from CETAs and we have to pay. So every month I was sitting with 400 forms that I have to sign. I don't sign anything now. It's all done on his system. Electronically, the students get paid on time. So the ease as well on the 4IR, I think there's an issue with the new strat plan that's coming that says DUT must be digitized. I think it's there in the draft. So it's coming, but in terms of action, I can't answer for what the academics are doing, but I remember years back when Professor Bauer was the Vice Chancellor, he said by 2015 he wanted 50% of all our courses to be online. Whether that happened or not, I don't know. It's some things that someone needs to tackle the deans about. Secondly, with regard to the placement, you know DUT, well, let me go back to when my department was started in Imam Sultan. Right? I had more staff at Imam Sultan, which was 1/3 the size of DUT than I have now. There's 2 academics. We are the smallest co-op unit in the country. Even CUT has more staff than us, with 10,000 students. So it's something that we try to address every year, and somewhere along that time it fails, and maybe Mr. Zwane would know why it fails, because somewhere along the line I used to be with the unions. And we still have payback with some of these things. But we keep on processing that. We will try to place every student. We have good relationships with the CETAs to provide funding. We're looking at projects, we're looking at alumni to come to us. Why I raised Imam Sultan? Imam Sultan was known as the Technicon for employment. If you came to Imam Sultan, you got. DUT also had that reputation. I had the careers officer from UK didn't come to me once to say she was sent by the students. Why? Because the students want to know why our job students get jobs first. It's still happening. Not as much as it was, because you know in engineering they cut out the in-service training on the new program. We're trying to bring it back because industry wants it back, and hopefully we get it. The other thing I know that's happening, the Vice Chancellor is insisting that all staff must go back to industry. They can't sit and preach when they've never been in industry. You can't, you want to be a pilot, you must have a pilot teach you how to fly a plane. You can't have someone who's read a book and then comes and tells you this is how you fly a plane or ride a bicycle. Right? So it's the same thing. I think we are pushing with that. But in terms of the students, if they refer to my department, they have. We know maritime is one of the key issues with government as well. So we are engaging. We have engaged. We are close partners with South African shipyards here, with the Navy. We mentioned the Navy was at the Gulf Day. And Admiral Kuba, who's the head of the SA in their HR, was there gracing us with these presents as well. So we have those links. We're also bringing in boat manufacturers from other countries as part of our partnership. It's why we're also placing our students. When you talk 4IR, we have the managing director and then a senior engineer from Western Digital in Thailand. You know Western Digital? All your laptops have Western Digital hardware. They came and addressed us on 4IR at the World of Work dinner. In terms of pushing the companies, our World of Work Careers Fair had 170 companies present there this year. It's the biggest one. UCT Post, they've got the biggest in the country. They had 100 companies. We had 170 with 700 staff reps. We asked alumni to engage with us. We asked unemployed graduates to come in and engage with the companies, but we're trying to get our students, even from first year, to engage with the companies. So in terms of some of your issues, I think they will be taken care of as we move forward. The big issue, of course, with all of us is staffing. And there are constraints about funding, etc. So we're looking at other funding. We've just appointed a chair in retail, and that came through the co-op department. We got funding from the CETA to do that. Why I raise that? Because already the retail chair, we didn't go for a doctor or professor. We went for someone from the industry. He's brought down a whole lot of other retail companies. All our retail students will get placed, plus a whole lot of other students. Plus, companies like Games, because we sit on the same committee together, the casual workers on the weekends now are students. And they don't have to be retail students, because a lot of these companies do that. So we're trying to also get them to do much. But in terms of other projects, when someone talked about unemployment, it's not just DUT. We must look at the country. 57% of youth are unemployed. Right? DUT can take 8,000 first-year students. Only 8,000. We get 90,000 applications for those first-year places. So what we decided to do with a few private partners, the co-op department and the CAO, you know what the CAO, Central Applications Officer? We said those matriculants that are not making it, can't we offer them skills courses? So in the meantime, they don't sit at home. We got funding from the wholesale and retail sector to do that. We started that, and because it's retailers, those children are getting placed. So there are initiatives, but I'm appealing to more alumni to come on board. I agree with the issue about the makeup of this room. I was also considering that, because a lot of our alumni are actually Indian and white and colored as well, and we need to look at that. What has happened? Why are they not here? The other people that are not here are academics. Academics are part of convocation. Why are they not sitting here to listen to you? Not to me, to listen to you. My issue with Standard Bank, I've been fighting Standard Bank for years on the same issues. They don't take our students. When I talk to them, they say they only take honors students. You know what they were saying? What? So we've had those issues with the banks as well. We are fighting. Although the bank sector is one of our strong partners, all the banks are not involved. So I agree with a lot of those things you said. Your procurement issue I left for the last. When we had homecoming, that was one of the promises of the Professor Roy Dupree at that stage, who was Vice Chancellor, that we will have preferred procurement suppliers being alumni. They would get, well, put it this way, they had to meet the criteria of competence, but they get extra points if they're alumni. I've been pushing one in the 22 years my department has existed. I've been pushing something else. Alumni get some points, but even more points must go for those companies that train students. We must push. Companies must train students. And that's the way our students get work experience and they will go out. The retail chair has now put in a proposal, because we've learned from universities in Canada and Thailand, etc., that we want a will or in-service system to be the 3 months in, 3 months out. Not just coming in at a short time at the end of your qualification. You know, our academics are going up like this. What are you challenging us? Yeah, but we will fight those issues. So, Chair, briefly, I hope I've covered. I can't answer for some of the other issues, but I hope. But I'm just appealing. Please engage with my department. All the people in my department are graduates. They're not staff. We take them on part-time contract. I don't have staff in post. But like CP, then you can engage with him. He'll tell you how the all systems work. He'll tell you how you could come to us. Companies from Cape Town still come to us. Foshini came and had a workshop with us. They took 30-odd students in over 2 days. Transnet still says we're one of the preferred providers. So there's good things happening, Mr. Chair. There are good things happening, but not across the board. And that's what we need to push, is that it must happen across the board. But with you people coming in, as alumni, wherever you are, give us the referral. You know, and maybe even come in on some of the projects where we create employment. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Ori, for that, and excuse. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for also introducing Space Ambona. So I think you did make that email. I think it was him that made a referral to, made reference to communicate for Tuli to communicate with individuals.
If you saw the contact.
Okay, that's fine. I will engage with all of us again. I'm just blowing my own trumpet that I did communicate with them, make some referral 2-3 weeks ago. So I'm trying a little bit of whoever wants to people, I refer them to DUT to get those people there. Again, as I thank Mr. Ori with those inputs. Time you raised about being strategic with our deployment, and try and involve everyone. I think it's a call that goes to every one of us. Unfortunately, we can only say much in terms of how we can be strategic with our deployments. there's so many things that everyone does in those little corners. You might not want to show all of them up at once, but I take that note, and hopefully the AGM take notes of that input. About Stellenbosch doing what is that is doing that in terms of its fundraising. Yesterday at the convex, one of the I'm sorry that I will have to expose you, Claude, that you indicated that you didn't even know that there's an alumni office within the university. Well, yes, when she was studying, she didn't know there was such an office existing within the university. And she made mention of the very same Stellenbosch that I think when she was doing other postgraduate courses, either completed or not, she's still being harassed by those universities, Stellenbosch, to say, hey, when are you contributing? You are part of our alumni. So she gets continuous communication from that. So I think that's what they do in terms of trying to make sure that they get, even if it means they contact 100 people and they get response from 20, to them it's 20 of something. Which is why I was saying with DUT alumni, we don't seem to be, well, depending on level of access wherever we are not contributing. All that we do, even they say, we still rely solely on the budget that the office receives to run the entire operations too, which was the same reason why the issue of homecoming was an issue, because people were saying, we want to come, but we want accommodation. Now, if we have to arrange with a resident, Alpine or whatever, to accommodate those students, residence management will tell you that we are self-funding. If you want to occupy for a weekend, the department must cover those costs for electricity and water. We're not just going to give it to you for free because we're supposed to be sourcing it out to whoever was paid. Now, the office needs to make, if there's 1,000 RSVPs, you must make sure there's 1,000 beds made available for those people, because at this stage, alumni didn't want to pay for their own accommodation. So it was becoming, we end up having a financials which are reflecting a deficit because we'll expect that and say we need this event, but we're not ripping out. So these are the type of things that we need to engage on constantly. It's easy to say let's revive this, but if there is no money to run those things, I will come to the question we talk about just 4 meetings. It does come at a cost. These are the type of things that you need to be cognizant of. But I take that, we spoke about the policy, to influence SCM policy, DUT Business Forum. I'll link it to what Uzwane raised about raising awareness and capacitating the alumni. We need to put it together as convex. And again, it is important to emphasize, we can only do so much, colleagues. We can come up with 10 ideas, but we cannot run 10 projects within 1 year, only meeting 4 times a year. It's just practically impossible. And again, looking at the financial resources. I guess as part of Congress, we'll come down and try and trim down to say what are the issues that we need to prioritize and make sure that we get it off the ground. Yes, we spoke about resuscitating and reform chapters at the professional grouping. It's what it is. I did report in one of the convenes that I'm trying to even in Joburg look at those people who I've already made contact with the lady by the name of Cindy the Klaba at EMCA to coordinate those ones. So maybe if it means we have a session with those ones, how best can they go? They will know each other. I've also spoke to Dr. Smith, I think Dean of Arts and whatever, to be present in that and engaging. So it's one of the projects that we want to tap in. So it's something we're working on. Definitely come next year, we'll have reported in one of those. The issue of the bank, we spoke about it, the Standard Bank, what they are contributing. Unfortunately, I wouldn't know. The issue, remember, I'm not representing the university here, I'm just representing the alumni relations. Whether Standard Bank contributes something towards engineering or anything else, I don't know. And I'm not privy to that information. But it's something worth checking to say, the bank that we are doing business with, what is it that is giving it back to the university? It might not be to alumni directly, but to the university at large. So it's something we can tap into that. If it means colleagues at council and perhaps sits in those subcommittees of finance and begin to influence moving. Maybe it's not efforts outside is coming on board because they want to supersede. But if it's a mandate that we are giving to our council reps to say there is a financial institution that is making a contribution, what is it that we can do reciprocally? It's a mandate we need to take going forward. DUT logo, I'm not sure that it's changing, but I'm aware that it has came to council and we have then went to seek the professional language practitioner or whatever, because just translating different bits of technology to Zulu, you know,
it has changed.
It's changed. Okay.
Yeah, it's a file.
And I'm saying we had to find the best way of how the Zulu part is phrased on that. So my understanding was that we have used the internal resources to be able to do that, but it's something we're looking into it. For IR, we've spoken about it. The participation of other races, yes, it's one of those things we look into it. But all I know is that through the office they try and communicate to whoever. It depends on RSVP. Unfortunately, we can't force people to come and attend, but we need to find ways of how we can best get them to be involved. About honoring Dr. Blangeni, yes, he was honored, the honored doctorate last year. And I think his son also participated on the golf day. Yeah, he was invited, he did participate as well. Prioritizing of graduates on employment. Not sure about the employment. I'll be honest with you in this case. We spoke about how the throughput of the university is about 6,000 whatever a year, and how many vacancies will have at DUT. They will have their own recruitment and selection policies that is there. All that we can always say is that let us always give preference to our own graduates, but it's not always a given that it will be that case, and I'm not sure how we can really influence the recruitment and selection policy of the university. Goes back to your CBGs. We spoke about the triple PFA, the Preferential Procurement Policy Framework Act, of trying to align in terms of scarce skills, product and services. It's going to come out of that so that you need to have and see how we can influence that. And I'm quite certain it's something that is possible. In actual fact, just to also add, in terms of those preferential companies, part of the idea is that even if it means they are looking for companies that are 9 GB, as they will call it, in those CIG billing, that if those people get those, even if it's not graduate, we expect that they must subcontract, and whoever that they subcontract in terms of being the DUT-owned company or former or graduates of DUT, those companies that get subcontracted must contribute something back into alumni budget. Whatever it is, we can always unpack it further, and including taking our other students or even contributing back if they've got something from the university. Maybe it's something that Mr. Ngobane would note and see how we can follow up on it. Spoke about golf and the distribution. Zwana did make note of this. There's just a number of points. I'm losing track of some of them, so you can always assist me if I've missed something. But I think there was something about, we have a policy in terms of how we disperse whatever that we have. It's not on capital, it's only on interest, and it's a certain ratio. I think it's 60-40 if I'm not mistaken. 60% goes towards the bursary, and the 40% of that interest that we allocated that year goes towards the 1 day, 1 meal a day. So we are not touching the capital, no. We are only dealing with the interest at that stage. Mr. Muban can also come in on that.
Yeah, but just to indicate here that in the case of ABSA, for instance, if they are donating 5 million and they are saying that 5 million needs to go to students for that academic year, we can't then take a portion of that 5 million and put it into some kind of investment. They expect the full 5 million to assist those students for that academic year. So on that amount, we do not take and invest, but of course we have the investment going, and we are only using the interest for the alumni bursary fund allocations.
Thanks. I've covered the question comment about off day, how much it is there. We did make about 100. I'm not sure about being lazy people at the tax. I want entrepreneurial desk. it will be covered when we deal with the issue of the entire procurement and the like. I think maritime studies, they've been covered, internet, the blackboard in the UK, something about 50 other institutions are using the office. If there is a company that is South African owned that we suggest must have based on, we are more than welcome to do that. It's because it's the platform that is being used by the institution. That's how it came into effect. Transformation that is block and the unemployment. As I've said on my report, it's not just a DUT-related issue. It is a national crisis, so to say. And I can vouch wherever. Fortunate enough, besides just throwing my own trumpet, they will know even in my office in Pretoria and all other offices in the province where I have a section, I make sure that I encourage DUT. If I have a vacancy, I tell them that I have a vacancy, get those people to apply. I might not be part of the interviews in Cape Town, but let them apply. If they are shortlisted, you always, sometimes they will stage where I will say, this thing, what damn or this other DUT, it's better. I don't know this damn people. Is this a national certificate or national diploma, or is it just a diploma? So I do get to be very selective. As I said, I think 3 weeks ago, there's one wanted some people, but I think you said we'll do it in January or so. There's a lady who wants it. So I get it in Pretoria, I forward it to them to say, yeah, these people get whoever to go there. I don't even need to know who's allocated. As long as those people get employment, I'm happy if I can contribute to that level. But it goes back to the question of saying, what are we doing as as alumni to contribute towards that? For those who are currently advantaged to be having a job, to be making those referrals. I think that's what Ori was making a call. It doesn't have to be you directly involved, but if you know that there is what is secular that has came out from within space, if you're within government, and then the office so that they can see that they can influence some of those things. I'm not sure how I'm going to comment about PLB being a stepchild. We've tried, I remember part of our effort is while I was on council, that we even conducted some of the council meetings in PFB to just try and cultivate the culture of participation within Maritzburg. I know I still owe on behalf of Convex. I remember I had spoken to one of the councillors who Mr. Todd, who had mentioned there's a number of graduates, and what is that building in Peter Maritzburg? Natalia. He's saying if you were to have a meeting there, you will come up with 100 or more than 100 of DUT graduates. He said if you want a venue arranged, but I guess it had gone back to the issue of time. And I think other alumni, we have even spoken to him to say what is that is happening. He did raise it with me, but perhaps it's a question of time, as I've said. I might not have that time to engage with the office to arrange something in Maritzburg so that we give them that attention. But I'm aware of that, and we will try our level best as Convex to touch base. Perhaps we can have one of the Convex meeting that side and see what we can do. The 5-year waiting period is about being on leadership, not to participate on alumni activities, if I understand. So it's not, it's again trying to, so that we can be able to have that influence. You can imagine, might sound discriminatory, but that's not the case. When you are part of the Convex, I'm not to make a referral, but you are still looking for a job yourself. You can imagine how frustrating it can be. So it was to say, let's try and tap into those people who have been there, who can be able to assist with an effort, but I don't think it was meant to exclude anyone. Operational matters. The issue about chapters is something we need to consider. It will still require funding, because to me it's about expanding the footprint. There is something that has been raised by the Convex member. Let's see how best we can look at having, even if it means come next year, we launch one professional body, be it the engineers or whoever, and we seek guidance from you all, because it doesn't mean that we are there, we know everything that we might come up with. We've since got new, I'm not going to say recruited or co-opted new Convex members who are again in business. They might suggest a thing or two. We are looking forward at launching at least one of those, because it all went back to say it was becoming costly to the office to run all these other 9 chapters. They want to have event. They didn't fundraise. They expect the office to book a hotel, catering, and the lights and the venue, and it was really becoming costly. We've taken so much time, colleagues just debating on the issue. I hope I've covered all the points that were raised and the written understanding or in terms of reflecting to the President's report. With your guidance, can I be allowed that we proceed on this matter, and perhaps we must adopt. There is a move for the adoption of the report. Seconded. Thank you. With additions, of course. Not for President to look into, but for convex to make sure that they operationalize whatever issues that have been raised by the AGM. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe just for that, for anyone who's objecting to that. No. Okay. Thank you. And I'm blaming myself for talking about convex or convocation recruiting a young blood to subject myself to standing for so many hours. My feet are itching already. On the agenda, can I just be out of order a second? The kitchen arrangements. Yes. I know there was an issue. What is the...
Chair, I think they are just wanting to have an indication because they need about 10 minutes to 15 minutes to prepare. So if they want to know what time are we going to go for dinner, that is the idea. So if we can just give them an indication in advance to say, guys, in 10 minutes we'll start coming for dinner. So we just need that indication.
But can they still serve dinner at 12 midnight? What time?
When we can confirm, I can confirm.
Okay, why do okay, because can we maybe say we'll go for dinner at 9? Yeah. 15 minutes, hoping that I will go through these items much more quicker, or in line with how I plan to. The next item is a proposed amendment to the Constitution of Convocation. And the document was also circulated, and there were no, maybe slow, so that it's not being fast. They were made available 30 days ago, and people were asked to forward comments as it is highlighted on the last bullet of the agenda. And quite honestly, from the office can confirm if there were any proposed amendments that were submitted over and above what we published.
No, we did not receive any comments from the notification of the AGM agenda.
Okay. Can I then assume that the House has read, or members have read the amendments and they were happy with it as the document and the page? Can I then get someone who's moving for the adoption of the amendments as they were suggested? The head for moving for adoption. Any seconder to that? Where have I left you? I'm not sure there are still other hands. Can I note hands? Because I had asked to say the document was circulated, was publicized for comments, and it is indicated on the document and how those comments are supposed to be submitted by what time. And I then checked with the office if there were any comments that were submitted for us so that we can deliberate on. And the office has confirmed there is none. So I then said, with this document, I'm seeing hands while I'm still talking. I have not asked for any hands. I'm trying to repeat myself.
I want to assist you.
Okay. I can also call you out of order even if I'm standing at the chair, completing that. But that's fine. So all I'm saying is that there were no comments that were received on the document as requested or as per the notice. The process then allows me to say, if there were no, can I then move for the adoption of these amendments?
Yes. narrative on what we've just said.
There is one hand on clarity.
No, it's fine.
No, let's use that because our fellow on the street, they need to hear what we are raising.
Clarity. Yeah, President, does it mean then if we didn't comment via for IR, the AGM has no powers to raise from those issues from here? I'm asking this because the AGM has powers, unless the Constitution guides us differently. If it does, then we don't have any power. But if it's quiet, then we can engage on it. Unless the Constitution says amendments to the Constitution must be submitted prior to the AGM.
Yes, that's what it says. Those extras are taking in terms of.
My question falls off there.
Yes. No, but come on, colleagues. We cannot work like that. Please, can you raise your hand? There is no way I'm gonna not note anyone. There was a class that was sick, and I've noted. You can on the Constitution. No, come on. Let's not. Okay. Can I note hands that wants to engage me on the proposal that I've suggested? I've noted 1, 2, 3. Is your hand up? 4, 5. In that order, please. We have the time now. 3 minutes starts on that order, on those numbers. I will get a second bite. This is the first round. You've already ended. I'm saying on the matter that you've addressed me on. And those ones who have not raised, can you assist with the section on the Constitution as well as on the rules so that it can be taken care of?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Maybe for the other young lions and the young comrades that are here, I'm a staff member, I'm on duty, and I'm a member of Convocation. So that's the 2-in-1 that you get. Chairperson, for discussion is, while there may be an amendment in the Constitution, but I think at an AGM, that discussion can emanate from the floor with regard to any other information that we find or deem necessary that needs further discussion, because I am concerned with that subcommittee that looked into the content of that amendment, and I'd like that to be further explored at this deliberation, which is within our purview as an AGM.
Can we have some order, please?
Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you, Chair. But in terms of the proposals in terms of the constitutional amendments were submitted in the Congress, and there were deliberations in terms of certain aspects, which it's still the same document without the inclusion of the deliberations that were made during the Congress meeting. So that is why I thought probably, Chair, it would then be important that probably we may reopen a discussion so that some of those suggestions that we've made, we can then obviously submit them in terms of the contribution. That was my suggestion and proposal, Chair, with regards to the proposed amendments to the Constitution. Thank you.
With regards to what I've said, because I have not got to a point of saying, are we debating it or are you discussing it? I'm saying based on what I've said, because I was at the stage where I'm moving for adoption of the content, and I'm giving people a chance to have an audience with that. Those that have copies of the Constitution can look at the last page of the Constitution to get a clarity. But I'm on number 3 now, and I think number 3 was here. If you look at the last page of the Constitution about amendments and what it says, because the point is there.
That 2 weeks prior to the date of the annual general meeting. Ayisho ukuthi mase sifike emhlanga singayivusi le ndaba. Ngoba it means that the convocation can sit in executive meeting and decide upon amendments and then present it to us, and then we praise them and agree to them. We can't really request that we raise other issues, including matters that are related to this amendment.
I think that was number 4 there. Are you sure was there, Machine? Can we have some order, please? Can we please? Can the speakers address me on the where I left on my presentation? Can you please address me on that? The floor is yours,
I think in some instance we are undermining the powers of this AGM. AGM has the power to actually propose that on the floor we raise these amendments, and also to correct whatever is here. So will you allow us then to raise or to discuss the amendment, the proposed amendments?
And I'm still going to keep on noting this issue as I go along. Let's try not to be politically correct in what you're saying. One going to, and I'm going, I think it was number 5. Look at section 9.2 about the AGM and what it says on the Constitution. If we are saying we are undermining the powers of this, just as you go through, look at section 9.2 of the Constitution. As I go to number 5. This is our document, alumni. Let's engage with it. Thank you.
Chair, I think we must develop a culture of taking this conversation seriously. We can't have documents that are circulated and people don't read them. And then when they come here and they're excited, they want to change things that they've had an opportunity to engage with. If we want to take ourselves seriously as a convocation, and we are not going to treat it as a last minute thing, then want to influence decisions. Because if people had engaged with these documents, they would have seen whatever that they want to make comments on, comment and send it back within 2 weeks, so that everyone has had the benefit of engaging with whatever submissions that they've had.
You can't just 1 second. Just 1 second. There are people who are saying order, but they are on themselves. They are protected. They are out of order themselves. Can you please just give a fellow alumni an opportunity to speak?
This alumni is going to be a progressive one. We need to engage with documents and take ourselves seriously. We can't come at the last minute, and because it means we don't expect this alumni. We've got documents in front of us. We've neglected to engage with the documents. Then this must be a lesson to those that want to influence that next year or whenever. They must not be late.
There is a point of order. Go arrive now. It doesn't take the convocation serious.
No, wait, I haven't acknowledged. I said there's point of order.
You go on the advert. That is also. If you have to arrive now, then call us excited.
Tammy, can you please respect me?
I respect you.
Thank you. There is a point of order. Can I acknowledge you? raise a point of order.
Thank you, Sam. I think, again, comrades, we must not be selective through you, Chair.
Is that a point of order?
Yeah, it's a point of order. To the latter speaker to come and lecture us here, which way of following the procedures. You see, because we're in the amendments, we must be able to be sensitive about the matter because we can resolve these points again. Kansas will also face a
but raise a point of order. Now we are
point of order is the latter speaker must withdraw his words that he's insulting the AGM himself because it does not.
Okay, yes, just indicated it's withdrawn. It's fine. Yes. So point of order sustained. Can I then go to the last hand?
I stand.
Okay. I'll note those hands for the seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, please. I've noted it.
Chair, good right, Chair.
Yes.
Let's the password. We know be simple, and I'm guided by my president, not by equal, by the contribution. Number one, maybe we say when someone come wrong or excitement,
it's been withdrawn.
And so on to me. But there's a point he makes which is important. We must take ourselves seriously. Utami mjadili ukuthi asibe honesty, sisho ukuthi shawe deadline, sicele mhlawumbe i-extension. The constitution, Alex is wrong. The constitution is clear. Motions must be made 2 weeks before, and it was in the notice. If we have missed it and we feel that this is important, when the motions, as the meeting, we must just be honest. Comrade Chair, we have missed the deadline. Sacela uyivule kuphela. Le abafuna abantu we submit with constitution akushiwo ndawo kuyashiwo. That's number one. Number two, there's this misconception about the AGM. Ukuthi abantu member of the AGM, they can decide at the AGM who's because the AGM. There is no such thing. Even the AGM itself is a creation of the Constitution. It's the Constitution that says the AGM must be convened, and how must the AGM be convinced, and what business AGM must deal with. So, in terms of procedure, there were no motions that were raised. We either accept this or reject it. The AGM does not need to accept it, it can reject it. But what I feel other convocants are saying, but people must be honest and say that. They must not say, I let's them, it's the last page. We read this document, thanks, Comrade. This one page.
They are still here. Maybe before I acknowledge the other hand, just to bring it to your attention, how sensitive on the date. Now, as the president, when the office made contact to say we are sending out the notice, convicts can confirm. Perhaps I must even say maybe it was a unilateral decision that I took. That the AGM was supposed to be held on the 23rd, which is last Saturday. But when the office communicated, I sat down and counted, and I said, I do not want anything that is going to be 3 weeks and 5 days. It says it must be 4 weeks. I want, as the chair or the president, I want to comply with the requirement. If it means we must push the AGM a week ahead and rather have 4 weeks and 5 days of the national newspaper and whatever, let's have that. Because I was not prepared to come here and deal with to say, why was your notice not 4 weeks, it was 3 weeks and whatever days. I wasn't prepared to defend that. I then became deliberate to say, we'll rather move it further by this 1 week so that I give enough time in terms of this, because I didn't want any. So I just wanted to amplify that point. As I'm considering the suggestion, there were hands that I saw that they were shooting up, even if I'm going to take these hands. I'm going to be guided by the office. We go and take lunch because these people, dinner. They need to go and they have to close the kitchen and go. But I'm saying I'm going to take these hands.
before we take the head,
way
I
forward.
think who's one has covered us.
Yes.
We are not in a rush. We are saying.
I've been standing here for
No, I'm not saying now. We're not in a rush generally
Yeah.
in dealing with the constitution. Because what has covered us very correctly to say the constitution, we see it here, it's written, and we can't read it differently. It says they must be submitted, guardian relatives, which indeed is wrong, but it's about constitution. So meaning those who agree with this, they were very unfortunate to agree with like this. But what is correct, can we not open up the discussion around the issue of the amendments, given the fact that we have not responded to the constitution? Because no one would want to lead the convocation outside the constitution. So I'm saying it must not be about you who's leading now. Anyone else would want to abide with the by the constitution. Even the country is run like that. You can't come with your things outside the constitution of the country. Now, whether it's wrong in the constitution of the country, whether it's wrong in the constitution, deal appropriately. Then we are saying to you, Chair, we indulge with you that you give us a time, because yes, indeed, I didn't go through myself. I will not lie. That's why I asked. And if it's here, we will withdraw. If you heard my first question.
Yes.
Because we can't act with the constitution, whether wrong or right itself. But it's our constitution.
Then comes this noise again.
So we plead with you that you give us a time that we submit this amendment, because we do have ideas. We submit them, and then we create an environment. How are we going to deal with them in terms of processing them now in a constitutional forum? I'm saying that one we can work out the outlook of whether we call it an AGM, whatever that might be. I'm saying, but the reality of the fact is that this constitution needs amendments. Unfortunately, we do not comply with the process of amending it. It doesn't mean that it doesn't need amendment. For example, a constitution, a paragraph, speak nothing about
It's noted. That is why we even shared. I had said it was part of the decision of the 2018 AGM that we must amend. It was a mandate. It was hence we even had a subcommittee that deals with that, as cited by the report of the former president, and that's what we've tried to comply with. All the indications. The other one is submitting. The other one is appealing to the chair to consider. But there is a consistent hand there saying way forward. Can you help us so that we can bring for because I also need to then indulge myself with the constitution, what it says in terms of the power that I have in this forum. So can I allow for that to extend or call another AGM in whatever period? I know we can, if we didn't see it, we could have extended it for, we can postpone it for not more than 6 months. But then
President, I wanted to, because I think we are now converging almost. I think it's a question of how do we then go forward. I was suggesting that, Chair, because the Constitution is a living document for any organization, for any structure. It's not a frozen dogma somewhere. It has to live in terms of the moment that it operates, so that it enforces the structure for the organization at a given phase, at a given time. I'm suggesting that those, even Manda is saying that there are elements that it does not see in certain areas of the and other colleagues want also to make inputs into the Constitution, notwithstanding what has been inserted by the committee which was doing that work in the last 3 or 4 months. My persuasion is that maybe can't we then agree that we adopt the Constitution provisionally, but the AGM take a decision that a constitutional task team be re-established, which will then receive all these suggestions, inputs that would have been brought in the last 2 weeks as required by the Constitution, so that in the process of 2020, we're even moving to the next AGM, which should be elective, which has equal powers to make the total adoption of the Constitution, which would have incorporated all these elements that all of us we want to put, because if we don't, it means that the convex and the convocation from tomorrow will be operating with a constitution that is not adopted. It's adopted in proviso that there's a task team that will sit and continue to receive all the inputs which will be incorporated so that in the next AGM we make a complete adoption which will take into account all the elements. That's a suggestion I'm making. We should be taking us forward going forward so that we strengthen those aspects. Thank you.
Anyone moving for the adoption? Thank you.
I'm not adopting.
But can I remain the chair? I've asked for those who are moving for the adoption. I know I was opening a can of worms because their hands I've noted. But you can't raise your hand and say, I'm not adopting. Hence, I'm calling for the hands for adoption. Can I request that we have that?
What he said, you are going to, what he said, or what you said, you
I'm prepared to be guided by the AGM. As I've said, all that I've tried to do was to comply with the constitution I'm expected to preside over. And I'm willing to engage. If it means we should, I don't want to be suggesting what I'm currently processing because there are a number of suggestions and I want to incorporate what everyone is saying. If it means we put aside the issue of amendments of the constitution and leave the constitution as it is and open for amendments until the next AGM, I'm not sure about convening another AGM and whatever. As I'm saying, I still need to process it. I do not have any problem of putting these things aside, opening, ask for people to make comments. I have absolutely no problem. Or to take the suggestion that Kai was summarizing to say, we amended provisionally with the proviso that we still open for comments. And the Constitutional Committee's task team is still there. There are other issues that came in even yesterday from the statute review task team that requires that we input onto it. So it will be there to receive those inputs, engage with it. I am fine, but I'm just about, I'm not sure as to which one to take at this point in time. I'm still the chair of this, and people are continuously getting, and I don't want to be hard on it. Please, police, can we please cooperate? You can imagine for me having